new balloon that we also will see here.
Xfinity standing up on the south end of the field. Barney Watson on the southwest corner. I'll just have to check that. I've lived here all my life, basically. On the southwest corner, right over there by the folks in the Gondola Club. That's Cool Beans.
Yes.
With the Rec Van banner.
Yeah, Sean Askren, I mentioned earlier, flying Xfinity. He's moved up to row A for this morning. And a lot of the balloons do have different launch positions this morning because they've been moved out of their normally assigned position in order to allow a special shape to take that position, especially those that are inflating from along the eastern side of Balloon Fiesta Park, along Main Street, because that's where we like to congregate all of the special shapes. I see just behind Xfinity is the Speedy Bird, the head of the Roadrunner balloon. It looks like Tristan and his crew are about ready to get out of here. The team is walking the balloon out. The zebras have cleared a path for them to move the balloon forward. He's actually kind of stuck there between the Intel balloon and the other Exxon Mobil, so they're having to pull him, walk him forward to get him clear of those two balloons. The conditions down there are kind of tight this morning, and once he's clear, then I'm sure he'll get a thumbs up from his launch director, and Tristan will get the balloon airborne. You see how many of his crew we talked about have now taken to wearing the signature cowboy hat that Tristan wears as well. There's a whole bunch of them.
And taking our balloon camera aloft for us as well this morning.
The second Exxon Mobil also taking off in formation, Matt McClinton, as did our Dawn Patrol show this morning. They're taking off side by side, just almost kissing as they left, not the two pilots, the balloons.
With a nice little rotation there. Are you ready for your close-up?
Yeah.
There's our camera person in the balloon. Yeah. Sit up straight, comb your hair.
Yeah, smile.
Will, and there's Tristan waving at us.
Good morning, Tristan.
Good morning, guys. Looking back at the field, as you can see, with that little bit of delay, all the balloons are ready. Hey, there's Speedy Bird.
Speedy Bird, you know, with his tongue stuck out at us.
There's the other Exxon Mobil balloon.
Yeah.
Started to say Matt McClinton flying the Exxon Mobil 2 balloon while Tristan flies the first one.
I did say that as he was launching just a moment ago. There's Will. You can see him pointing the camera outside of the out of the basket as they're flying overhead here.
And we're starting to see special shapes inflate on the field as well as the Coca-Cola balloon with Marcia Lambertson and the Intel balloon
with Phil Glebe are getting airborne. So we're beginning to launch at least from this end of the field. On the south end, off of row A, we'll see the Rainbow Rider balloons, I'm sure, beginning to launch in the middle of the field. So we're just getting our flight underway after that short delay for a rain shower to the south. Hey, this is the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, and our intrepid field reporter Ruth Lind has found one of our international visitors from Taiwan. Ruth, it's all yours.
Thank you. I'm down here with Tahai from Taiwan. Tahai is flying the Bravo Bear balloon, and tell me what this balloon is all about.
Okay. Hello, my name is Tahai. We're from Taiwan and Taipei City. It's Bravo Bear. It's from Taipei City. We come here, want to invite, and welcome to Taipei. Visit the Taiwan and Taipei City.
That's wonderful. How were you able to get the government to put together a balloon program?
Because we want all people to Taiwan, and we want to show the Bravo Bear, show the underworld, and Taiwan and Taipei City.
Thank you. What is the significance of the bear?
This bear is like a city, Taipei City, like what to say, like
a mascot?
Yes. Because like the leader, he wanted to go to the world because the first we go to the Albuquerque. Next month we go to the Japan and another city. So this Bravo Bear, we go to the all country, invite the people to Taiwan.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us here in Albuquerque, Tahai.
Yeah.
And we're going to send it back up to the stage.
Thanks, Ruth.
My own words. Turn the mic on. Had a great shot there from our in-flight camera a moment ago, looking back at the field from just behind us.
The delay gave everybody the opportunity to get hooked
There it
up.
is.
There it is again.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, and so our 3-row rule of moving through 3 rows at a time is kind of expanding into the 4 or 5 row.
And as you look at
They're
that
gonna be
shot
ready to fly.
online, you see the yellow balloon that's still on its side with the red dot right in the center. That
Yep.
is right smack in front of us.
That's
Just if
the,
you want to know where we are on the field, look at the crowd this morning.
Great crowd.
Great crowd today.
And that is the row of one of the rows of Rainbow Rider balloons.
Yeah.
We're starting to see them launch from the middle of the field.
Someone was asking, what are they charging for balloon rides here at Balloon Fiesta? I don't have a clue. I would encourage you to check out the Rainbow Riders website, although they are sold out. My cousins, Patty and Steve, were in town earlier this week. They called hoping there had been a cancellation, they might get on board, and they were not able to do so.
I'm sold out for months, and I'm sure the waiting list has been long and growing.
And I'm sure it
as well,
has been.
so,
Yeah, they did get on a waiting list for a ride, but it just didn't materialize. So I just told them next year come back and plan earlier, and I'll get in touch with Scotty and see if we can't get them up in a balloon.
You know, reservations for next year, things do open up early. RV spot reservations open up in early January. So if you're planning to come to Balloon Fiesta 2023 in your RV, you're going to want to be on balloonfiesta.com in early January to secure your RV spot. And then as we talked about, calendars and posters and all that other types of merchandise starts coming out in August, but actually tickets go on sale 6 months before. So that would be on April 7th, if my math is correct. So in April, tickets for next year will go on sale. So put those dates in your calendar and hang on to those. Be prepared to start booking things early. And I wouldn't wait into the summertime to book my hotel as well. Hey, we talked about the pilot has the discretion to fly their special shapes or not today. And we've starting to see them take off. There goes Speedy Bird with Earl Blizzard.
Okay.
And then
Cynthia Seal
with Pat Rolfe.
Thank you.
They're waving at us there.
So we will see, I'm sure, a number of special shapes choose to fly this morning because it's a good morning for that. But as always, a number of them will just stay static on the field so that you can get a good up-close and personal view with your favorite special shapes, perhaps.
Good to see Speedy Bird up there.
Yeah, I'm good. As long as we're off camera, I'm going to stick my tongue out at him too. But
Oh, yeah. So there's the Zia balloon we were talking about from our other shot. They have now stood up.
Right.
Moving across, there's the Cottonwood Mall balloon. Next to that, the Kashari balloon.
Yeah.
Peter Procopio. We heard at Pilot's Briefing, they were talking about the Monday after Gallup
Right,
rally.
the Gallup rally, which is the informal event that happens every Monday morning. A lot of pilots from here that are traveling. I've done it 1 year. There is an official Red Rocks balloon rally in Gallup, but it happens in December. And
First
it was never
weekend.
convenient for me to be in Albuquerque in October, go back home to Texas or Louisiana where I live now, and then come back. So 1 year, I actually brought my balloon Coyote Moon out here and rented it to a pilot from the UK. And so since I was here with the balloon on Monday morning when it came to leave town and head back home, I just stayed for a couple of days and we all drove out to Gallup. And on the Monday morning, there's sort of an unofficial balloon event where just a lot of pilots show up and fly the Red Rocks together. And it's gotten to where now it's almost as big as a regular balloon rally.
Yeah, it is.
It's just kind of incredible. So we heard, knowing that that's going to happen, we heard Brad Tiemeyer this morning giving pilots an update on what kind of weather he's now seeing for them on Monday morning. So yeah, that's and Red Rocks is just an incredible. It's a like 5-finger canyon,
yes.
And you can go up and down, up and down, up and down as you go over the. It's it's like opening your hand, and then you fly up and over and down in between each of your fingers. It's a beautiful place to fly. So happy that I got to do that, and I have some great photographs of my balloon Coyote Moon flying in Red Rocks.
We usually head out there in December and fly there. It is a great place to fly. There's the new Visit Albuquerque red or green balloon.
Yeah.
And I set them that way because it's red turning to green as they use the turning vent to spin that around.
So that's the official question of the state of New Mexico?
The state.
So which comes first? Is the official question red or green or red?
Actually, I think it is red or green.
Red or green? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And I heard that for those that like both, the answer is, in fact,
Christmas.
I was out eating with some friends the other night, and someone said red or green, and the answer was Christmas, which means both.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of mix it up. There's Claude the crab on our screen.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to scroll down to find that as you bring it up. So, thanks.
And the U.S. Air Force balloon is headed right for the rooftop studio.
Yes, they are. Off into the wild gray yonder this morning. Although there is blue sky up there.
Off to the
some
east
nice
there
blue
is some
just
there
above
as
us
well.
here. So, and the United States Air Force is here celebrating their 75th anniversary. A lot of anniversaries this year. 50th Balloon Fiesta, 25th America's Challenge, which sadly will not fly. The 75th for the Air Force, Bud Person and his wife celebrating their 50th. So, yeah, lots of anniversaries ongoing here at Balloon Fiesta this weekend or this week. They have
so
the
72
Air Force,
was a very good year, obviously.
Apparently it was. The Air Force has a booth here on site where you can go along Main Street and explore the various careers that are available in the Air Force, many of which do not have anything to do with being a pilot.
Right.
I know Ruth Lynn was there earlier this week, talked with one of the recruiters, and they have some virtual simulators there where you can see what it's like to refuel in the air. But a great opportunity to explore the many different career opportunities that are available in our United States Air Force. There goes the Zia of the McConnells.
And Lady Jester over on the east side.
Off to the east side, yeah.
The Arizona Rainbow Riders balloon just in front of the Visit Albuquerque. You see the green side. The bottom of the basket that you see there is from the Arizona one. Scott Appleman and Rainbow Riders with ride operations not only here in Albuquerque, but in Colorado Springs and in the Scottsdale, Arizona area.
And our crab is just getting airborne off to the southeast corner of the field. There's Buddy Beaver. Now that's a different koala bear. That's not Adelaide from Sky Safari.
No, that one's from that one. I think stays here.
It is. The balloon is called Sydney, and the pilot is Thomas Radnall from Placitas, New Mexico,
which is a town that's just kind of on the north side of the mountains here.
Okay.
Just kind of right. It's actually very close to the field.
Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm 99% certain I saw on Facebook the other day that balloon is now for sale.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was in the one of the hot air balloon groups on Facebook that the balloon is now for sale. So an opportunity for you to own a special shape if you're interested in owning Sydney, the koala bear. And there is Xfinity Rewards going airborne. Their balloon considered a special shape because they have those three-dimensional appendages on and around the balloon. You see the inflated hearts on either sides.
Our pumpkin is hollering at us up there. Good morning.
Jack-o'-lantern. It's a pumpkin when it's not carved, but they've got a face carved into it, and that makes it a jack-o'-lantern.
Okay.
Just because I said so.
Just because you said so.
That's right.
Then it must be true.
It must be true. It's on the internet.
It's as solid. I was going to say it's as solid as reading it on the internet.
That's right. Bonjour.
What you say and what you read on the internet must be true.
Bonjour.
Yeah. Over there by the Gondola Club, there's the Mexico True Balloon, True Lee. Bill Lee is another one of those pilots that's based out of Gallup. We were talking about Koshari earlier.
Yeah.
Bill Lee lives over in the Gallup area as well. In fact, he actually runs that rally we taught in December. So he's the guy to talk to about that.
Oh, right.
If you wanted to come back over in December. And there's Koshari on the screen.
Yeah, I probably won't, as I say, but I'm actually
we might be
happy
talking
that
to
I did get to fly the Red Rocks 1 year.
We continue to talk with Koshari about doing some sort of at least announce work over there at Gallup in December.
Well, in that case, I'd come back in December.
So that could be another live location for Balloon Fiesta Live from Gallup.
Yeah, Balloon Fiesta in a box.
Yeah.
There you go. We could do that.
And Koshari is now airborne. Here's a shot from our camera looking back at balloons in the sky and city of Albuquerque. The balloons drifting south at the lower altitudes. They don't have to get very high before they turn around and start heading out to the northwest. So Rio Rancho and Corrales, we're coming your way. There is Snowbird, our penguin tourist, and Rubber Ducky. Oh, look at that shot. The field is full of balloons in various stages of inflation. From standing up, that would be the hot phase. Cold, that's where we're blowing the air inside and starting to fill up the balloons with air. And another set of balloons that are just stretched out, waiting for the opportunity to start the fan and eventually go hot and lift off. Spidey Pig is in the air now. That shape actually started way back in the 90s. The idea to build a piggy bank or a piggy bank. We had a special shaped sponsor that was a bank here in New Mexico. They built a couple of piggy banks and flew those for many years. And as the bank changed hands and moved on to other things, we used that same design to create Spidey Pig. Good morning. Nice and easy launch out of the field. Again, drifting to the south, right over the top of us. And then making sure when it is clear above them, slowly climbing to altitude and getting that change in direction back to the northwest. One of our Colorado balloons off the east side. I do see the Dos Equis balloon with Scott Appleman flying as we continue to launch Rainbow Riders off the north end and other balloons off the south end. Special shapes are on the east. And half of our round balloons have left the field to find a launch site that is going to allow them to fly back in. Competition is scheduled to start at 8:30 this morning. So that will be after we manage to get all of our regular shaped balloons in the air here from the field. And the target for competition will be open until 10 o'clock. So 90 minutes of competition coming up starting about 8:30. We'll hopefully get the tasks assigned to the pilots today a little bit later, although since it is a special shapes day, there will be 5 25-foot poles out there. The pilots have a 14-inch ring. If they ring the pole, they win the cash on the pole. $2,000 on each pole. If you're the only one on the pole, you get all $2,000. If some of your buddies come in and drop the ring on the same pole, you get to split the $2,000. That's always exciting. 2 pilots yesterday managed to grab or put their ring over the pole. You wouldn't necessarily grab the pole, although that's a pretty good strategy. If you've got your hand on the pole, it's pretty easy to set the ring right over the top. Throwing the ring works occasionally, but not always. There's our gnome balloon or as Glenn likes to call it, our pink Santa Claus. Geert Piersman flies the Albert the Gnome balloon. And there is our three-sided jester type head. I believe we would call that carnival these days. Yep. And Mark Meyer from North Carolina flying the carnival, the three-headed. There was Sydney in the background of that shot. So we're seeing a number of our shapes get airborne. Snowbird included. There's a good shot of Sydney. I see the preventive pest balloon right off of Main Street, right over there by the media tent, now our Sid Cutter Pavilion. That is, while we call it the preventive pest control balloon, it's really itsy bitsy because that not so itsy bitsy black widow spider on the side of the balloon. Continuing to look back at the field as we look at how many balloons we have to yet launch off the field. That's the basket of Snowbird, the penguin that's dressed up for warmer climates. And you can see how nice and slow it is right here, 150 feet off the surface.
Snowbird just passing directly over us. We get a chance to look right up inside the basket, or inside the balloon. If you get the chance to look up inside one of these special shapes, you'll be surprised at all the rigging. Sometimes there's more fabric inside than there is out. And you'll see some panels, like I can see one now in Snowbird, where there's a panel of flat fabric, but then it has small holes in it so that the air will flow out and fill up one of those appendages.
Yeah, I've said this many times, but one of my favorite balloon shots is when the balloon is directly overhead and the basket is centered in the throat of opening. Yeah.
More so in a round balloon usually, because that's a little more dramatic than a shape sometimes.
Right.
But yeah, an absolute, in fact, I think I mentioned when you brought that up the other day that I won a photo contest way back in the 80s of, there's Kim has a shot right there. That's what you're
There you
talking
go.
about.
That's it.
Back in the 80s with that kind of a photo, looking from down on the ground, looking up directly at the balloon and the basket centered right in the throat. There is the Rubber Ducky has just gotten airborne. Rubber Ducky is Bob O'Brien out of Waupaca, Wisconsin. Waupaca, I hope that's correct. Wisconsin. Originally the balloon of Brian and Susan Owen, longtime friends of mine from the Plano, Texas area. Susan passed away, sadly, earlier this year, some months ago.
Look who's over the river.
Oh, yeah, that's and look at the river. That river always, it's kind of like a flow of milk chocolate more than a river because it's always very brown.
Especially when we have rain in the area because it does stir up the dirt there. But
right.
Yep, not very deep, but our balloon cam, Tristan, getting the balloon over to the river. We'll see if he is able to maybe do a splash and dash.
Yeah. There's the gnome in the air. I've been calling him a pink Santa Claus.
Good morning.
This was a product over in the UK. I still don't remember all of the background behind it. Basically, I think it's like a soft serve sort of ice cream.
By the way,
sweet.
the gnome has a name.
Does
it's Albert.
Albert the gnome.
Albert the gnome.
And the correct pronunciation is obviously gnome. I've just, because it's a British balloon, it has a G registration. Actually, no, I'm wrong about that because its registration is OVO. See right there on the side? It's OO-BEO. Cloudhopper getting airborne out of the center of the field here on our south end. That's one of those little one-man balloons we were talking about earlier today. There it is on the feed, where someone was asking about how many people can fly safely. Well, it depends on the size of the balloon and the basket, and/or sometimes there is no basket.
So in that case, it's one.
It's a one-person balloon.
Yeah, no lap sitting, no lap flying in this one.
Nope, not in that one. And that is, sits on a little swing seat, and the fuel tank and burner strapped to your back in a harness, and away you go. Buddy Beaver is up and away, and giving us a little salute as he passes by. A lot of the shapes flying this morning. That's interesting to see. There goes Tico, the sloth, originally known as, the balloon originally known as the sloth, and now has a name, Tico. So Art and I are still calling it Tico the sloth.
Kermie's up there. Smokey Bear is up there. There goes Rubber Ducky you talked about a few minutes ago.
There's Snowbird in the distance. Behind Rubber Ducky, the Taipei Bear that Ruth had the interview with earlier this morning from Taiwan is standing along the east side. Got his back turned toward us, but they'll be launching in a few moments.
Kermie is up. Good morning up there.
Good morning. Shout down from the Wizard balloon. Never grow old. I agree with that. Whimsical. In the air just above us. There goes Crispy Bacon. That's the new word for that. Isn't that the pig special shape there?
Yeah.
Crisp. Is it crisp? Chris.
Chris.
C-H-R-I-S. Chris. P.
As an initial.
Bacon.
Yep.
You do the math. There goes the Taipei balloon. They're getting airborne now. Get back to my.
There's Andy Caton's Eddie and
Rickenbacker.
Rickenbacker.
Rickenbacker. Eddie is the Snoopy that's flying the airplane. Rickenbacker is the cat maintaining the rear machine gun, and that's all a tribute to history, I think he said, of the Army Air Corps, which was pre-U.S. Air Force.
And there was just a shot of Crispy Bacon.
Okay.
He's off over on the right-hand side now. It looks like that might be little D, kind of slightly down and to the left from Crispy.
The cat balloon? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, it's the Little Devil balloon. I'm looking at it on the screen. Continuing to look back at the field from our balloon cam and our Exxon Mobil balloon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's little D. I said it was a cat because it kind of looked like that to me. That you're saying it's a little devil.
It's a little devil.
Which would make sense with the name Little D.
Hey, there's the Ristra. The Chili Ristra standing up.
And that would be
Mike Schrum.
Thank you. Yep, Mike Schrum. And then right beside it there, just almost right beside it, is the new little VW bus. Interesting, they did the very highly sought after 9-window VW bus with the two surfboards on the top. And when they came in for landing yesterday here on the south end of the field, they even have a vintage VW horn, the little beep, beep, beep kind of horn.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's nice.
And they were just tooting the heck out of that as they to kind of warn spectators that they were coming in for a landing here on the south end yesterday after the competition. It was really fun to kind of watch that play out right here in front of me.
Little dog standing above all the other inflatable shapes out there. And I see Scarlet, the red bird, and the new frog out there as well.
Yeah, if you remember what the years when we had the Orient Express locomotive here, they had the steam whistle.
That's
like
right,
a train
they did.
Whistle has. Well, so now the VW bus has a Volkswagen beep beep horn, so that's kind of cool.
There's Sunny Boy. You see the balloons of the party balloon. And as Golden Corral lifts off, we see Rich Lawhorn's Humpty Dumpty. And still cold inflating the clock, tick-tock.
Some folks on the Facebook group talking about, they remember Penny and Little Buck, the two bank balloons that we had here for a long time.
We talked about that as Spidey Pig went out. Those were the original pig
predecessor
shapes.
to Spidey Pig,
Yeah, and as the bank moved on and other things happened, we took the same pattern and made Spidey Pig.
And I have at home one year, years and years and years and years ago, they did piggy banks of Miss Penny. Bright big pink. I want to say porcelain. That's probably not the right word for it, but
Ceramic.
I guess. Okay, thank you. And I have been putting pennies in that bank for over a decade, and it's still not full.
No wonder there's a penny shortage.
Yeah, but it is still not full. My original plan was, I thought, well, eventually when I get it full, I'll bring it back. There is a charity here in Albuquerque that is, and there may be others elsewhere, but it's a penny charity, and they have people donate pennies to them, and they use that money for a lot of charitable causes. And I thought, well, at some point I'm going to give back. And honestly, I had thought about doing that for the 50th year, and the idea actually I kind of forgot this year. I thought I'd bring but the bank's not full yet. So when I get the bank full, and I can hire a team to pick it up and move it from my house here to Albuquerque, then I thought, well, I'll bring the bank back and we'll take it to one of the banks and open it and have them count all the pennies. And I'd love to find a sponsor who would match whatever the amount is in the piggy bank, and we'll donate all that to charity here at Albuquerque. We could do that next year.
So a picture from our ExxonMobil balloon, looking at our ExxonMobil 2 balloon
in the river,
is down close to the river.
Yeah.
So, and as calm as it is moving to the south here at the surface, and actually to the north as well, it's actually a great day to be doing splash and dashes.
Yeah, on the river. In the Rio.
Just remember, you only want to get the bottom skids of the basket wet. You don't want to go in ankle or knee deep. Not that you could probably get knee deep in the Rio.
I was going to say, that would be kind of a challenge. You might get ankle deep.
You could get ankle deep easily. And depending on the spot, you might get even mid-thigh or mid-calf. But, yeah. Gigantes Hamlet, when pigs fly in the air.
I was going to say, a lot of pigs out there flying this morning. We had crispy bacon. We've got Hamlet. And now we also have Pegasus.
Yep.
That is Tyler Jacques from Battle Creek, Michigan with Pegasus. That's the light pink pig wearing the sunglasses. This is their 6th year here at Balloon Fiesta.
There's looking right down from the basket. Is he down that low? So we're looking right. He's in the water on our feed. There's your splash and dash.
Yeah.
We don't want to get the handles wet because that means you're going to be in your ankles. So right along the water, there's your splash and dash. Right here on Balloon Fiesta Live.
The idea, the reason it's called a splash and dash, the idea is that you just want to touch the water, make a wee splash, and then lift back off or dash off. Now, some pilots, especially when they're doing a splash and dash in the lake.
This is the view you like when you're coming down the river, to be able to see the bushes, the fauna, all that stuff as you just kind of skim along.
Well, I was just going to say, some pilots, especially in a larger body of water, will actually, if you're really, really talented, you'll sit just the skids of the basket on the water, and then you'll sail. It's not a splash and dash because you don't just touch the water and then go back airborne. You literally sit the balloon on the surface of the water and sail it.
Little sailing and surfing there.
That's it. Absolutely. Hey,
Arabelle's in the air.
Arabelle's in the air. Yeah, from Creamland Dairy. And they've just gone airborne. I can see more. There is Lindy, the special shape from Lindstrand Balloons, one of the many manufacturers that are represented here on Balloon Fiesta Park. I see Sushi. That would be Katie Griggs. Little fish special shape. And right there standing up about ready to go, there is Chicklet. That would be the balloon of Chick-fil-A. And our good friend and former Dawn Patrol show producer Craig Kennedy is piloting that balloon this week. And there is Barry Ballinger in the Plains Bank balloon, the Tatanka balloon with the two buffalo or bison head on either side. And also about ready to launch this morning is Cheryl Reichert. Cheryl is in the balloon Party, and that is basically the balloon that is a big bundle or a bouquet of party balloons. And We featured Cheryl and her new balloon when it was brand new on the cover of Ballooning Journal some months ago. So it's nice to see her here. The VW bus is now getting airborne. I can see it rising just slowly above the other balloons around it. KOB's 96.3 FM balloon is getting airborne. Now, there's a story behind that because KOB typically we think of as 770 on the AM dial.
Right.
Now they have an FM station as well at 96.3.
They simulcast on both frequencies, so you can
Okay.
get them on either band, AM or FM. And they're tending to move the branding to the FM side.
Okay. All right.
You know, we've been showing a lot of great aerial pictures and those in the river with the splash and dash as well. And those of you here on the field, obviously, unless you were standing by the video walls, couldn't see those shots. So I'm going to remind those of you here on the field that when you get back to your hotel or your home later this morning, you're going to want to go back and watch the archived version of Balloon Fiesta Live to get these great shots that we were showing our folks on the stream of being in the river, doing a splash and dash aerial shots. So this was definitely a day that if you're here on the field, you're getting a great show, and we're just getting started. But after activities are done here, you're going to want to go back and check out what we showed all the folks on the stream. There's Mr. Globy. We talked about him earlier, and Ruth talked with
Ruth
the
had an
pilot,
interview
Alex.
with him. Yep. Alex came up and traded us a couple of pins this morning for our announcer pins, and glad to have that. There he is with his spyglass looking right back down at his launch site. Really, was I just right there?
Yeah.
Great Kennedy doing a little turning bit magic with Chick-fil-A, the balloon called Chicklet, right here in front of the rooftop studio.
Alex told us when he was talking with us how when they were designing this balloon, they actually ended up flipping it around so that it showed more of the face to the crowd and to the different camera angles. Of course, we've got angles every which way around, so we can see you from all angles.
But he had observed that, you know, we do have usually a fairly standard wind pattern here at Albuquerque, and he noticed that when they inflated some of the balloons, that it was the bum or the butt side of the balloon that the crowd saw, and he didn't want that with Mr. Globy. He wanted the crowd to see the face, and so they literally essentially flip-flopped the design of the balloon, putting the face on, you know, they flipped it 180 degrees so that when Mr. Globy inflates and rises up, the people see the face of the balloon. There's the little VW coming right at it. Maybe we can get them to honk the horn when they get a little bit closer. We'll get a chance to let you hear the beep beep.
Meanwhile, down on the other end of the field, there's Yoda, Darth Vader. People were asking about Darth earlier in the week, and talking about the back end.
Steggy.
The back end of Steggy.
Yep, that's the butt of a stegosaurus, in case you didn't know. By the way, my good friend Roger Clark is flying Yoda this morning. Roger here out of South Carolina. He and I and his family go way back. I met the Clark family back in 1988, the first year that I was the announcer at Freedom Weekend The Loft in Greenville, South Carolina. His father, Dwayne, was a longtime friend of mine. His wife, Dwayne's wife, Emily, still with us. Emily, good morning. I know she's been watching a lot. And then Mike and Roger and Dana, their kids, they're like my East Coast family. And used to, we had a reunion every year when I would go to announce the Freedom Weekend, the event no longer happening, but still keeping close touch with the Clark family out of South Carolina. And good to have Roger here, and he and I are going to try and hook up and have a little personal visit when he gets back from flying Darth Vader this morning. There goes Cheryl Reichert in the balloon party. We mentioned the balloon that is a bouquet of party balloons right along the east side of the field there.
Flying over the southwest corner, over the Gondola Club, folks. That's Janet Sofera, the blue, red, and yellow one. The name of the balloon, Vacation. Got to shout out Janet. She always she wants us to sing some song that I've never heard of when she flies over. So I've the shout out. That's what she gets.
Okay. I don't know what song you're talking about.
Yeah,
so
I don't know the song. She's asked me 3 or 4 times about the song, tried to tell me the song. I don't know which one she's talking about.
Okay.
There's Pencil Boy.
Yeah.
And the neat thing about that is the glasses with the reflection of all the balloons in it.
Yeah, no, I see it on the monitor. I was looking to see it in the sky because right beside it is Gus T. Guppy, the the balloon, little fish balloon. Where are? Okay,
Just-
yeah,
okay,
there's
yeah, straight
Gus
through.
looking right at us.
Yeah, this round shape here was blocking it from our view, but they are right on the other side of the alien spaceship or the space saucer.
Yeah, Gus T. Guppy the balloon. I just had her name in my head now. I forgot it. Larry Konash, and it's his daughter. Oh gosh, that's embarrassing. Um, it's one of those things. It's on the tip of my tongue, and
Stick it out. We'll figure it.
yeah, stick it out. Tina Louise Konash. No, that's not right. Give me a minute. I'll find it. It's on our list. It's so embarrassing. And she's a dear friend of mine, and as was her dad, as is her dad.
Steggy is airborne on the northeast corner of the field. TikTok now standing up, as is the snowman, Mr. Winter.
Where's Gus T. Guppy here in a spotting app? Here, Gussie.
So we're finally getting to the majority of our regular shaped balloons, getting them in the sky. Of course, we need to do that before we can start competition, when the other half of our regular shaped balloons will be attempting to fly back into the park. And our thermal airship is already up this morning as well on the far north end of the field. So basically a blimp inflated with hot air, airborne, aloft with hot air, but with some direction opportunities as well. And a little car type compartment at the bottom for you to be able to take a little ride in that. So they're flying some special people around the field and giving them an extra special view of our balloons launching. There's Mandrill on the screen, one of the newer special shapes here at Balloon Fiesta. Coming right over the south end of the field, another brand new balloon. This one is light blue with pinks and purples and purple hearts, carrying the CNM banner, Central New Mexico Community College here. That's Blair Kaufman. Just happens to be the president, the current president of the Albuquerque Aerostat Ascension Association, or Quad A, which is the local hot air balloon. Well, actually, not even hot air, the local balloon club. We take care of both gas and hot air. The Festival Internacional del Globo Balloon Dead Center, another big balloon rally that a number of pilots like to go to down in Leon, Mexico. Still getting some great shots from the sky from our ExxonMobil balloon and our Balloon Fiesta Live camera, looking back at Speedy Bird. I know most of you call it the Roadrunner, but technically it's Speedy Bird. And all three of our bees are in the air. You may have heard of some difficulties with the little baby bee earlier this week. That has resolved itself, and all three of them are in the air, as well as one of our unicorns, the pink unicorn, which every time I've announced it this year at 3 different places, it's had a different name.
Well, that's clever.
Yeah. So we're just going to call it the pink unicorn. Ruth Lind has made it to the Balloon Museum, I believe, and can tell us what's happening over there. Ruth?
Yes, well, we're not at the Balloon Museum itself right now, but with me right today is Lori McGovern, and Lori is the executive director of the Albuquerque International Balloon Museum Foundation. Lori, first of all, what does the foundation do for the Balloon Museum?
Yes, the foundation is the fundraising arm for the Balloon Museum, but we also love to promote it, advocate for it, and raise funds, of course. And when we're promoting and advocating the Balloon Museum, we also feel like we are promoting and advocating the love of ballooning and the history of ballooning, the culture of ballooning. So we really love our position in highlighting this amazing museum and this amazing sport.
This is probably the best balloon museum I have ever seen. I've always been so happy to be involved up there. This year, there's a special exhibit for the 50th. Tell us what we can find in that exhibit.
Yeah, so just 1 week before Balloon Fiesta, the Balloon Museum launched a new exhibit called Canopy of Colors, celebrating Albuquerque's Balloon Fiesta. And the name is inspired by the balloons coming over your sky, and it looks like a canopy of colors. But not only a canopy of colors, this exhibit has 50 years of as much history as we possibly could fit into an interactive, colorful, lively, happy exhibit about Balloon Fiesta. So we feel like anybody's visit to the Balloon Fiesta is really like the piece, completing piece to come see the exhibit. And so we hope everybody can make its way up to the museum. We're so thrilled to work with Balloon Fiesta, to work with the local ballooning company, Quad A, the local ballooning commercial companies to make this exhibit. It was a really wonderful effort of everybody coming together. And we're just so happy we can show in this exhibit year round, because the museum's open year round, the history of Balloon Fiesta. And there's lots of ways for the exhibit to grow and change as Fiesta continues to grow and change as well in the coming years.
That's wonderful. Now, Fiesta will be finished on Sunday. What are the museum hours between now and then?
Yes, so the museum is open from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. And then we have special events early in the morning and in the evening. So that's one of our biggest fundraisers of the year, our wonderful breakfast to overlook this. And then the city of Albuquerque hosts a lot of special events in the evening as well that people are able to purchase tickets for. So we want the museum to be alive and full of people all Balloon Fiesta.
That's so terrific. Lori, thank you for joining us this morning. We really appreciate everything that the Balloon Museum does for ballooning, for the city of Albuquerque, and for Fiesta.
Thanks. We love Balloon Fiesta Live and Balloon Fiesta. Thank you.
We do. I'll wave too. Glenn, Art, we're waving back at you.
We're raving back to you guys too.
Absolutely.
And that canopy of color is actually a very nice exhibit over at the Balloon Museum.
Yes.
And you should check it out. In fact, if you can't get enough of Balloon Fiesta Live, go hang out at the museum.
And you can hear us over there.
That's right. So, and a lot of great history they've packed into that exhibit over there. Canopy of Colors at the Albuquerque Anderson Abruzzo International Balloon Museum, just on the south end of Balloon Fiesta Park, just south of where we are and where all of our balloons are launching. There's Tristan's balloon pin on his cap from our balloon camera. Getting us some great shots this morning, including down in the river and a splash and dash, and the all the aerial shots as the sky is just full and dotted of balloons. What a great morning.
Yeah, it's a great morning. I see our hot air airship is up this morning as well, encircling the field with the 50th Fiesta logo on the side. I saw a big hug get airborne. Our spaceman, our little
There's
astronaut,
a new toy car on the screen.
Yeah.
The KOE balloon getting airborne as well from the far north end of the field, if you're out in that corner. Princess Nellie is airborne, as is our spaceman. That's another one that has changed names over the year.
Yeah, well, originally that was
Cosmo, wasn't it?
Cosmo, yeah. Jerry and Cindy Holmes owned the balloon. Originally, they had it built, and then it's been sold. And a lot of times when a balloon changes ownership, then the new owners, rightly so, want to give it their own name.
So I believe it's called Space Cowboy now.
Okay.
Those of you watching our feed, you see Stork standing up, originally known as Great Expectations.
Right. There is Cork the puppy. We've talked about it a bit this week. Luis de Assis from Sao Paulo, Brazil, is with that balloon. And that is one of the balloons that has a mini-me,
It
as
does.
I've been referring to them, one of the RC balloons. And still no official word on the RC record being done yet today. We'll wait to see if that takes place.
So I have seen some traffic go by on some text that we will be standing RC balloons up. But again, we have competition going. So exactly where and when all that happens, I don't have the official word yet, but I'm seeing indications that it will happen today. The attempt to at least stand a bunch of them up, and whether we have enough here and available, we'll have to see. Hey, there's Monty the Black Sheep.
Yeah. And you're right, called Space Cowboy now. That is Bradley Purdue out of White House, Ohio, that now has that balloon. And Black Sheep is there, another one of my longtime good friends. As
there was a lot of people asking about Monty earlier in the week.
Monty being the name of the Black Sheep, Greg Ashton, in his 10th year here at Fiesta from Meridian, Idaho. They sell some plush toys of Monty in order to help fund the balloon. And last year, I got a few of them from Greg, and have a great picture of Ranger herding
Yeah,
a bunch of black sheep out in our front yard from last year. Yeah, so that was kind of fun.
There's Coco the Clown inflating. That looks like that might be Buzzy B, the yellow and black one in front of it. So we still have special shapes inflating on the field.
There goes Scott Vesley, our former producer of the
Dawn
Patrol Show. Thank you. Yep, and his Lighthouse
Business
balloon.
Solutions.
Yeah, Lighthouse Business Solutions, purple, red with kind of that orange band in the center and the orange pennants hanging off of it just over the center of the field. There's well, I'm going to say Tom and Jerry on the field. I know that's not their name. I know.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
I know. And
well,
Tweety,
somebody
Tweety Bird too. We can't use those names technically because because
see, yeah,
because their names are trademarked and they have different names like Yellow Bird.
Somebody telling me they were going out to Tweety, and I had to say, no, yeah, you got to pay for that.
You got to go out to Yellow Bird, but come on, we all know who they are.
That's it.
Let's get real. Folks.
Well, we've talked all morning about the Roadrunner, who is Speedy Bird.
Speedy Bird, right? Yeah, we all know what's going on. It's not, I think a lot of that's kind of. I understand copyrights and trademarks and all that, but come on, come on, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. But I will tell you that Balloon Fiesta has spent years working to get the rights to do things with the Looney Tune characters.
Oh, I
with
know.
the Roadrunner and the Coyote, and be able to put them on pins, and shirts. It's all there, and it's not a simple process.
No, it's not, and I understand all that. But when it comes to naming a balloon that everyone knows what it is, and having to use, it's like when Dave and Kathy Reinecke built what was Mr. Potato Head. Everybody knew it. And then they got into legal issues with Hasbro or whoever it is that owns it, and they had to do a remake on the balloon, and now it's Buddy Beaver.
Yep.
But as I say, if it's that shape, and my argument is with the people who own the trademarks, not the balloonists.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, let's get real.
Well, they always say flattery is imitation is the best form of flattery.
Absolutely.
So if I put something that's yours, why wouldn't you embrace it?
Yeah, why wouldn't you embrace it? Let me use the name. I understand you have copyrights and there are things you can't. It's like we were talking earlier with the new Roadrunner Coyote the replica of the original balloon. There are restrictions. They can't sell it. They can't use it for commercial purposes, etc. But they were at least able to use the characters. Well, if you're going to build the balloon, at least let us use the name and let's not have to go off into some crazy, Yellow Bird kind of thing. But anyway, we should probably get off that topic before we do get fined. Some of the Longleat fleet getting into the air now at the end of the field. The Penguin family, Fly Penguin, Puddles, Splash, and their little baby chick, which is not so little, Tall Steve. That would be Andrew Holly and friends in those balloons. I thought I saw Duma, the cheetah. Yeah, he's up above the penguins. That's Toby Brown in Duma. And Duma, by the way, is the Swahili word for cheetah, and thus that's how the balloon got its name. The Screwdriver, complete with blade, is in the air. The blade is an inflatable appendage that actually hangs from the basket, and we've learned that they carry a small fan with them to inflate the blade after they are airborne. There goes the stork, otherwise
Wow, the stork's actually flying.
the balloon previously known as Great Expectations. That's actually what, the second or second version?
the second.
Okay, all right.
So we only have a couple more regular shaped balloons to get off the ground. So if you are out there in the center of the field where the regular shaped balloons were, it's now time to start moving to the north, south, east, or west so that we can open up a nice big scoring area in the form of a big square out there. Go ahead and move over by the special shapes, or move down here to the south end, or over to the far west road, or out to the north. We're going to be starting to flag off the target and the scoring area. Competition was to start at 8:30. That is 9 minutes from now. I don't see that we can clear that area quite that quickly, but you can certainly help us. If you are standing in the center of the field where there are no balloons immediately around you, you are now in what will become the target area. And so if you could please start moving to one of the four directions, and you'll have a great view of competition.
Most everybody moves to the east toward Main Street, which is where the remaining special shapes will stay static. And so most of the crowd pushed and moves over into that direction. Wanted to give a quick shout out to one of my always favorite balloons. If you're a fan of black cats, which I am, and do not consider them unlucky by any means, but the beautiful Panther balloon is in the sky. That is Steve Thomas, who is here from Bath in the United Kingdom. An all black balloon except for the gold eyes and the white whiskers on the side, and that is the Panther. Just an absolute gorgeous balloon, in my opinion, although the artwork obviously quite simple, actually, just all black, but really a gorgeous balloon.
Our balloonmeister, Henry Rosenbaum, has texted us what the competition for today will be.
Okay.
Of course, because it is a special shapes day, we will have 5 poles. Pilots will need to ring the pole, and the prize being cash.
Yeah, each pole worth $2,000.
And we're going to have some X's out there, as well as we're going to do the Gordon Bennett Memorial Task.
Okay.
Do you remember what that is?
Yes, that's where there is an X, but you don't throw at the X. There will be an adjacent scoring area, and the task is to put your marker in the scoring area, either as close to the X or as far, depending on whether they call it as a max or a minimum. But yeah, it confuses pilots a lot of times because typically you fly to an X and you want to throw at the center of the X. In the Gordon Bennett, the X is the measuring point. It's not the target, so there will be a separate scoring area. So the question then obviously is, what will the scoring area look like? What will it be? Something special, I'm guessing.
No, actually, it's just the typical triangles today.
Oh, okay.
Yesterday we had the 50, the 5, and the 0
Right.
as a maximum double drop, and you had to score on the 5, you had to score on the 0. Today it is a marker in the Gordon Bennett triangles, and one triangle is closer to the X than the other one.
Okay.
So the trick will be to drop your marker inside the triangle that is the closest to the X. And from the drawing he sent me, it appears they're going to actually set that up in 2 of those out there. So there'll be a one that's kind of a north-south path and one that appears to be an east-west path as well. Now, you talked about don't throw on the X, except in today's competition, the X is its own
task
sure. as well.
Right.
So drop on the X with one marker, drop in the triangle for the other task.
For the Gordon Bennett.
And don't forget to get the ring on the pole as you come through as well.
Now we're going to get
an
actual official explanation. Yeah, we're getting, again, an advice from our launch officials and our Balloonmeister request that we remind you, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to move off the balloon field. If you're not part of a balloon team that is actively inflating and about to launch their balloon, you need to be moving. As I say, primarily everybody moves to the east. They all gather around where the shapes are, but you can come to the south here along Corporate Road. You can move to the far north end, or you can move over to the West Road. But we need to get spectators clear of the field so that our officials can get the flagging team out and start flagging off the competition target zone. So if you would, a lot of you are moving slowly to the east. I see that. Thank you for your cooperation. But again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're here as a spectator, you need to clear the balloon field, the big grass, launch area, because that's going to be our scoring area very soon. So please move your way. Best to move over to the east side of the field along Main Street, because then if you get bored with the balloons, you could do a little shopping. And I think even the Mounted Patrol are out there now beginning to help us, kind of like herding cats at this point.
Herding guests.
But if you'll cooperate with us, we can get the competition underway that much quicker.
And
we've got a whole another bunch of balloons that are waiting to come fly in here.
You bet. And you can see from all four sides of the target area. So if you didn't want to get in all the crowds on the east side, consider north, south, or west. But just pick a direction and head that way. The sooner you move to the sides, the sooner we can get the flagging and the target area set up, and the sooner we can get our competition underway. Our competition pilots, some of them may already be in the air. I see a couple of racers over there already.
Well, it would be hard to pick them out at this point because the sky is simply full of balloons. This is the largest number of balloons we've had in the air since opening Saturday.
650 balloons registered here today.
Wow.
120 of them special shapes. And being Special Shapes Day, all 120 are expected to be here. And I'm not counting, but I would guess they're here.
I would guess so too. And, and a lot of them now are remaining static along the east side of the field. And that's where the crowd is really compressing into, as is usually the case. I saw earlier, I still see the balloon on its side, cold inflating, flip-flop fantasies. My good friend Terry Dillard out of Florida, who had quite an adventure coming to Balloon Fiesta. They left Florida early to get out ahead of Hurricane Ian when they thought the storm was going into the panhandle of Florida. They wanted to get past that point, and so they went north and were coming along the I-40 route through Memphis, Tennessee. When they got to Memphis, the storm had changed its course and was turning and going inland, as we all know, much nearer to Terry and Debbie's house. So they turned around and went back home to ride out the storm in a marina where they live in a marina that they operate, which is populated largely by retirees and elderly folks. So they went back, quite honestly, to be good Samaritans and be there for their neighbors and their community. They did ride out the storm with very minor damage other than some flooding. And so then once they knew that everyone was safe, they repacked the balloon trailer, hooked it up, and turned around and came back to Balloon Fiesta. And there's the balloon coming up right now with the flip-flops on the side, the purple, pink, and yellow checkered pattern there. So Flip-Flop Fantasies is here with Terry Dillard.
Meanwhile, one of our ride balloons is coming back onto the field to land. And we'll remind spectators, do not get in front of a balloon that is coming in to land. As this one is coming in, just nice and gentle, do not get in front. Let the crews go ahead and catch the balloon. They'll catch it from the side and behind. We will probably see a lot of that as our competitors come over the targets. They will be doing exactly the same thing. So as a balloon comes back into the field, you will not want to be in front of the balloon. Don't think you can stand there in front of it and stop it. As big and as gentle and as puffy as they look, they have a huge mass and will literally just bowl you over. So watch for those coming in.
And we do still have a lot of spectators in the southern end of the field here, and that's okay, except you need to be aware that does become a landing zone for our competitors. And so don't put out your blankets and your folding chairs and your little wagons, etc., and think, okay, this is my piece of ground. I'm sticking here, because you may well need to be moved or move yourself out of the way once some of these balloons come in and start landing. So if you're going to stay down here in the south end, that's fine. Just be aware that balloons eventually will be landing in this area, and you'll need to keep your head on a swivel to know what's going on around you, and be prepared to get up and move if necessary so the pilots can come in and make a safe landing, because we don't want anybody getting hurt, certainly not a spectator sitting on the grass not realizing that there's a balloon coming at them.
Some of you are still out in the scoring area, and we do need to continue to have you move to one of the sides. I do see our scoring officials starting to lay out the triangles for our Gordon Bennett task here this morning.
Some of the others are out on the four-wheelers and the golf carts trying to, herd the cats, as it were, and move everybody over to the east. You can see generally the area where you need to be, because as you look down the field, you can see some of the flagging and people behind them. So if you're still out in the grassy area, you really need to move to an area where you would be behind that flagging. Or if you're here in the south, the best thing to do would be, there's a little berm, a little rise right here in front of Corporate Row, where all the corporate tents are, the fencing and sponsor hospitality. The best thing, if you're going to stay on the south end of the field, come back up here to that little berm. There you can sit and watch and not have to be worried principally about having to move for a balloon. So better to move a little further toward the edge of the field than standing right out there in the middle of the south end.
That said, I'm going to let you hang on to things
Yep,
here.
time for you to go.
I'm going to head down with our mobile cam into the competition area.
Okay.
And I will talk to you from down there.
All right. Well, be careful going downstairs, and we will see you shortly back on the feed as the pilots, our scoring team, are getting those 5 poles erected down in the scoring area. We can see them now. Again, one of the tasks for the pilots today will be to take that little mini hula hoop, that little plastic ring. We had one here on set yesterday to show you. And it's about maybe 12, 14 inches wide. The object, as the pilots come flying in, is to drop that ring on one of those poles, each pole worth $2,000. Now, if you're the only pilot to get your ring on a pole, on any of the 5 poles, you'll win $2,000. If 2 or 3 or more pilots get their rings all on the same pole, then they will split that $2,000. Yesterday, we had 2 pilots each get a pole individually. So those 2 pilots, Thomas Hora, and I'm sorry I don't have the identity on the other pilot, but each of them has now won $2,000, and maybe we'll see some more win some cash today. And we have our other task, again, a marker on the X. And then we also have, as Art was describing, a Gordon Bennett task, which will see some triangles laid out on the field. The X is the measuring point. The triangles are the scoring zone. And the object of that task will be simply to get your marker in the triangle, but as close to the X as possible. So usually those triangles are situated so that a tip, one of the tips on the 3 sides of the triangle, is very close to the X. And that is the perfect score. And as always, the fabric that is used to create the target, to make the outline of those triangles, if your marker ends on the fabric is in. So that will count as a score. And Art will be down there with our crack camera team shortly and be reporting live from there as we watch the balloons fly in. So I think, again, ladies and gentlemen, a final reminder, if you would please move to an area behind the flagging. Our team now, I think we've got the eastern line pretty well in force, and I see the flags being extended now from east to west. Those of you on the south end of the field, you're okay there. But again, I'm going to caution you, eventually balloons are going to be landing there. I really, really would encourage you to move up here and find yourself a nice little seat along the berm, the little rise in the field here along Corporate Row, where you'll have a great view of everything happening, and you don't have to worry about suddenly having balloons come flying through where it is that you're sitting and watching. But yeah, there go the flags across the field, east to west, here on the south end of the field, marking the boundary of our scoring area. So you need to be behind those flags, no matter which side of the field you choose to watch from. We're going to leave the feed live. I'm going to step away from just the mic for a couple of minutes. Art is on his way downstairs. As soon as Art is back with us, we'll both come back on live, and we'll get today's competition underway. It is Special Shapes Rodeo Day at the 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. We are powered by ExxonMobil. You're watching Balloon Fiesta Live. Hey, don't bury Tom. Don't bury Tom. Sorry.
Okay, inside for 2.5. Inside.
1, 2.5, go. All right, then. Okay. Keep going. Got nothing to do in the last 24 hours. Nice. Yeah. Good. Nice. You got a perfect. Jimmy's favorite part.
This is my favorite part.
You're doing great. And ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, or good morning, rather. It's not afternoon yet. Sometimes it just feels like it. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Balloon Fiesta Live, whether you're listening to us on the PA here on the field or you're watching on the live feed. We are ready to get underway with competition this morning as the second part of our activities, our double ascension, as Art was discussing this morning. Art Lloyd Jr. is now down in the scoring area with our camera crew, so let's go down there live. Art, is the field open? Because I know that one racer coming through the field is one of our competitor balloons. Are we underway already?
Yes, Glenn, we are underway, and we have already had the first marker thrown successfully in the triangle of the Gordon Bennett Memorial Task that's going on today. So if we can look behind me, here is the X. Remember, that's a target in its own right, but it is also the measuring point to the designated scoring areas. There are two triangles. If we look this way, this triangle is much closer to the center of the X. So this is the better triangle to be in. Of course, the farther out you are, the less score. There is another triangle which is farther away. So you're going to be wanting to throw into one of these. You could take the easy way, catch the first triangle in as you come in from the north, but your best score will be farther away than the best score on the southern triangle. But if you wait till the southern triangle, you could end up flying beyond it and miss altogether. So here's looks like he was winding up like he was going to throw. There goes the wind up again. We're talking about the racer coming down the east side of the field. So remember yesterday we talked about catching the wind up on the side of the basket? It just happened again. Yep. There's the big throw, and it's in the center of the triangle.
Well, and just to be clear, Art, you
so that will be measured to the center of the X. Now he's winding up to throw on the X itself. And so that will get measured. So a score from the X and a score in the triangle for the Gordon Bennett Memorial. And we already have a slew of balloons coming our way. The white, mostly white racer with the red and black. Scott Vesley's coming down the field, but he took off from here, so he can't compete. We've got Al or Ryan Lowenstein in the blue balloon carrying the Sandia Resort and Casino banner coming in. Both Hartzell balloons. Joe is the one that is going up again. He's going to change his line. The other Hartzell staying low and appears to have a good line coming through. And just to the east of the Lighthouse Business Systems balloon, pretends to throw a marker, which he can't do. I didn't see a marker drop from the other one on the other side of it. But we're kind of between the two setups. It's the same setup. One is pointed north-south, one is pointed east-west. And of course, don't forget that there are 5 poles along the north side. So we're going to watch this white racer with the black and red. Already has one mark. Over the northern triangle. Looking for the tip of that one. Very nice. About 6 feet from the tip. That's going to be a great score. And did not attempt to throw on the X, concentrated on the Gordon Bennett. So over on the west target, the nice yellow sunrise being pushed by the Hartzell balloon without the silverness. There's a nice toss from the Sandia Resort balloon. 2 of them in there. There's one in the X. And he's going to throw it our way. That one would be on for an X score. Definitely closer. Pretty smart play there. Throw the Gordon Bennett on one side, throw the X on the other side because you're closer to it. The Spiral Rainbow making a very quick descent, dropping both of his markers. Here comes another marker our way. And a touch on the ground by the racer on the west side. A little more than a touch. That will be a penalty of some sort. You cannot touch the ground in the target area. Here comes Joe Zavada in the Hall of Fame balloon. We got video of him coming in on the Sid Cutter the other day. He's dropping in nicely. Going to be on the West Gordon Bennett target. Remember that there is an X in the center and two triangles, one triangle closer than the other. Hitting that one, you almost have to throw those two baggies at the same time because they're equal that way. So there's one. That's probably the X. And yes, and there's the orange inside the triangle. So two good throws by Joe Zavada in the Hall of Fame balloon. The other racer coming in behind him, well, they're coming in from all angles. I've got Johnny Petrin over the top of me. We've got a spiral one off on the west target and the balloon that has the racer. There's a nice throw by the spiral on the west and a good one to the X. So two good scores over there. Johnny Petrin flying over the top of us. We'll see what he does. Right on the center of the X from Johnny. And right inside the triangle. Two great throws from Johnny Petrin, champion here in 2004 and 2008. The racer balloon coming in, as is Mark Sullivan on the far west side of the field. In the triangle for the racer balloon, taking a look. Oh, he got the marker caught up in the crown line. Untangle it, fly the balloon. Get a throw. Try to get it back our way. And it went way high, but dropped in front of our camera. Mark Sullivan going up high to see if he can get it changed. That's the red spiral racer. We have the purple one coming right over the target on the west side. He's got his X marker out. There's that throw. That's right in there. Inside the triangle, over on the east target, the red and black and white one drops. That's a good score inside the triangle from up high. A wind up for the X. Whoa, that's on the legs of the X. Our scorers are going to be busy today, Glenn. From up high, more baggies being dropped on the west target. This mostly yellow balloon with the parrot design coming over the east target. Got two markers in hand. The orange one needs triangles. The yellow one will be measured to the... Waiting. Looks like he's going to try for the triangle that is closer. Of course, that will be the better score. Now he has to keep in mind that the baggie is going to have some level of momentum. The orange one is in the target. The yellow one just about 20 feet off of the X. Here comes Dave Eichhorn in the yellow and orange balloon, Morato's mark. And he's just drifting in nice and low. We'll have to see which target he picks because he's kind of coming at us between. Again, this is Dave Eichhorn, Albuquerque balloonist and balloon repair shop owner. They still have the ring and they are south of the poles. Dave says he's got a $100 bill wrapped up in that marker. He's going to throw it off to the X. And he's got his orange one. He'll try and throw that in the triangle. straightened up, and he's in the triangle as well. Joe Hartzell coming down on the west target now while we watch balloons drop in on our east target as well. So Joe Hartzell in the blue racer with the white stars and the black and white checkerboard. Going to come right in the center. He'll be able to drop on the X, drop in the triangle as well. We'll watch what Joe does. There's the throw for the X. That's the yellow one, and plants the orange one in the corner of the triangle as well. The yellow racer with the linked diamonds. Isn't that Ken Drawn, Glenn?
Yes, you're right, Art. That is Ken Drawn out of North Carolina.
He is coming in nice and slow. This other one right in front of us here. Unfortunately, a little bounce. Banner 159. But Ken Drawn continued to work his way in. The yellow racer with the blue and red.
Ken's balloon, by the way, is called Highly Contagious.
He has managed to save his descents as to not hit the ground. He's got his white marker in. That'll be for the X. Good throw for the X. Can he get an orange one out? There it is. Great score in the triangle for Ken Drawn. Off the far east side, we have the yellow and blue stair-step balloon from the Page, Arizona, the Horseshoe Bend balloon. They're going to be on the east side. They may be able to give a nice throw. The Wizard balloon's coming back over the top, but our next competitor is the red racer with blue and white checks on it. I believe that's Sane. And your friend, the Gnome, coming down the west side as well. She's in great position, and the red racer winding up the yellow marker. That's for the X. That looks good. I didn't see an orange one come out, though, for the Gordon Bennett Memorial.
Art, that red racer with the blue and white blocks is Dutch Direct is the name of the balloon, and the pilot is, I'm going to murder this, I'm sure, Samna Harhers. My apologies. They are from the Netherlands.
That's why I let you say that one.
Well, thank you.
So we've got a regular shape yellow with the multicolored diamond darts coming up at the bottom and the top. They appear to have what could be a good run on one of our poles. One of the first competitors to come in low enough at that end of the field to ring the pole. So we will keep an eye on that. And it looks like they're going to get a field goal and go right between them, but they could get to this one. There's the toss, goes over the top of the ring and does not ring the pole. But they have a great line for the Gordon Bennett task and the X task. I see the orange marker already in hand. Or maybe I should say in mouth. And some video being taken from up there as well. So going past the northernmost market, going for the higher score one. There's the X. 2 feet off the center. There's the Gordon Bennett, about 3 feet from the tip. So very good scores for this yellow balloon with the darts, the different colored darts. We've got a pass on both targets. On the far side, the blue Vivo camera.
And Art, the yellow balloon
east
with those
target. We've got this dark racer with the black, the dark pinks and purples and blues. They're both going to get to the target about the same time. And a Kubitschek racer, which we saw yesterday get right in on the targets, is going to drop right in behind that Cameron Viva. So a wind up from the blue one. That's inside the target area. Racer 204. That was the X throw. And there is the Gordon Bennett. They could score those the other way, but the marker colors are not what the rules say. The Kubitschek racer on the far west drops his orange marker inside the triangle, winds up to throw for the X. There goes that one. And it's off the edge of the X from the Kubitschek racer on the west side of the field. Long lead fleet, Glenn.
Just quickly, Art, the yellow balloon with the darts and the diamonds that you were watching earlier, that is a balloon called Diamond. That's Steve Williams from right here in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
So there's a throw on the Gordon Bennett. Winding up the white one and throwing for the X. Decent throws from Simbaloo. The black balloon coming at us is Mike Voorhees. We see the markers coming out, getting in there, ready to see what they can do on the Gordon Bennett and on the X. So again, the orange marker is to go in the triangle. The other color marker will be scored to the center of the X. One marker in one hand, the other marker in the other hand. Oops, then you got to fix it so that you can still fly the balloon. There's the dark marker, 3 feet off the center. The Gordon Bennett marker about 4 feet from the point of the target. So great throws from Mike Voorhees in the black Psychonic.com balloon.
I didn't realize the
over on the west side. Go ahead, Glenn.
I was just going to say, I didn't realize Simbaloo was competing this morning, but he's coming over to land along the eastern edge of the crowd now. And out there coming to you, Art, is Tomas Hora in G Daddy, the Texas Twist balloon, the red balloon with that yellow and blue spiral. Thomas got a pole yesterday, you will recall.
And so coming in, it appears vantage point to be a little bit west of that X, but certainly doable. He's going to be at the closer triangle. He's got the orange marker out. Again, the orange marker needs to go in the triangle. And a little wind up, throw. That looks outside the triangle from my point of view. I did not see a throw on an X from Tomas Hora in the G Daddy balloon.
Well, you'll remember he said he was out of the competition.
Balloon that came in with him.
You'll remember that he said, Tomas said he was out of the competition on Tuesday, the first day. So yesterday he didn't throw. He just went for the poles. So probably not too disappointed if he doesn't get a decent remark today. Meanwhile, down at the poles, there's Chris Sabia in the Wonder Balloon. Looks like he might be near one of those poles, Art.
He is. He's coming in on the one just to the west of the road. Meanwhile, a great throw on the triangles from the black. Oh, here comes one my way. Darts the X. There's the yellow balloon over on the west side of the field with the heart patterns in multiple colors. That's Kathy Smith in levity. While we watch Chris Sabia come in the Wonder Balloon. Of course, I moved to the road and he kind of shifts direction this way. There's his throw. Well, right on the edge. Would have to get closer to see. Get the other color marker out as he throws for the X. And a decent throw on the X. Chris Sabia in the Wonder Balloon.
Meanwhile, our scoring officials walked Sid Ballou all the way down the crowd line to the south end of the field here for landing.
Did you get it?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
We're trying to determine whether Chris managed to get a pole as he came across. We're a little farther south of that, watching the Gordon Bennett and the X targets. Jay Mason in the teal balloon with the orange and the white diamonds from on the far west side of the field, dropping from fairly high. The orange marker is outside the triangle. Jay flying the Real TV 1 of New Mexico balloon. And he was one of our pilots representing those original 13 balloons last Friday at Coronado Center. He was representing Bill Cutter, the brother of Sid Cutter.
He did get it.
So they're telling me that Chris Sabia did get that pole, Glenn.
Well, good for Chris. I'm sure he and Amanda will put that money to good use. Probably buy a whole truck full of Wonder Bread.
Basically came right by the pole, reached over, and just kind of dropped it on that pole, which is, we keep talking about. If you can do it that way, that's the best way. Don't trust the ring toss to the toss part of that.
Yeah, seldom does tossing
US
a ring
Bank
do
is
any
coming
good.
in. Nope. U.S. Bank just dropped in. Will make a nice pass, I believe, on the west target. Nick Donner flying the U.S. Bank balloon for us today. Scott McClinton usually flies that balloon, but had to return home due to the loss of his mother. We send our condolences to the McClinton family. But Nick doing the honors.
Well, if you're going to hand off your
this
balloon.
Is one of those where you.
Sorry, Art. I was going to say, if you're going to hand off your balloon to another pilot, you could do worse than picking Nick Donner, a former world champion and 5-time U.S. national champion.
Well, and he is showing exactly those skills as he comes in about 3 feet over the ground. He's coming in on the target that you have to throw to quickly because the center of the X and the triangle line up. And there's the maneuver. You throw one out the front, you turn around and drop the other one out the back as you go, and you get your markers on the X and right in the corner of the triangle. 2 great scores from Nick Donner in the U.S. Bank balloon.
Yeah, nicely done, Nick. And whoever was flying with him was certainly enjoying the moment as well.
So a couple of local balloons coming in now on the west target. Going up high in the multi-shades of blue, that should be John Wilson and the Jaws balloon, although I think John was working some of our other deals here, and he may not be the one flying that. And then I always wonder, how do you call this color here? Because it's like every color. It's yellow, it's blue, it's orange, it's red, it's green. It's got almost every color in it. in those kind of staggered patterns. That's going to be either Kaleidoscope or Barely Awake. Those two balloons are identical. And dropping down quickly on the west side of that balloon, the big white equator with the black bands just above and below that, carrying the waste management balloon banner. But he looks to be like he might be starting to drift off.
Yeah, he's getting a push to the west.
Will be I see that.
And if I'm correct, that balloon
and
is.
I'm thinking that is.
That's Jerry Kopus, I believe.
Oh, yes, that's who that would be. And that looks to be Dave Bear at the piloting of the Kaleidoscope color balloon. Kaleidoscope being the name of the other one, that's his dad's balloon. This would be Barely Awake.
And while she's not competing, Cheryl Reichert in her balloon party is coming back into the scene. That's that bouquet of balloons with the little Mylar star balloon on this side. The other side of the balloon is a Mylar balloon that says happy birthday. And she launched from the field earlier, one of our special shapes. She's just drifting by the west side of the field. While there's a bit of a break in the action down at the target, it looks like, Art. There is Space Cowboy also down to the north, but again, they launched as part of our Shapes Rodeo earlier, so not in the competition, but able to box back to the field. In fact, speaking of boxing back to the field, way out there also is Craig Kennedy in the Chick-fil-A balloon, Chicklet, and he's descending. Looks like they're probably going to set up for an approach to fly the length of the field and then come down and land here at the south end would be my guess.
Yeah, make that competition pass even though he's not competing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nice how all the shapes are still inflated over on the east side of the field. They like the competition as much as the rest of us do out here. Well, and a great crowd. Thanks for coming out and being here with us.
Yeah, and if you look up, I'm looking up directly over the rooftop studio here, Art, and the wind, I think, is shifting a bit because a lot of the pilots that were up high trying to work their way into the center of the field to then drop to the target, they're now being pushed to the south. So the upper flow looks like it's kind of changed a bit.
I think you're right. There's also a lot of different directions up there. I'm just noticing off to the west, Mark Sullivan's Red Racer. He looks like he's attempting to box back around. Solaire is up there with Sean Rea. Our Freedom balloon, the racer with the blue and white checks and the yellow pennants that we've seen in the target area the last couple of days. They're just off to the west side of the field and appear to be trying to get back north and a little bit east so that they can get over the targets.
But
the east, though, is lower than they are.
And I don't see anything north up above me, Art, as I'm looking at all the different altitudes. There is a little bit. If you look up the balloon that is purple and horizontal bands of kind of looks like reds, pinks, and then a purple equator. Now, at his altitude, there is a little bit of north. Also, the blue and pink balloon, almost directly over our head, they've got a little bit of a north drift. But everybody to the east generally is pushing to the south. We're not seeing a lot of north over there. So there may be a thin band up there, but it's at a very specific altitude that you'd have to find your way into.
It's there. There are two yellow balloons, Zarek Wells in his yellow with the black mustache, and the yellow racer with the Texas Star on it and the black checkerboard that goes up. They are up fairly high, and they are both tracking to the north at a decent little pace. At that same altitude, a little farther north, is the blue Freedom racer we talked about. Right behind it is one of the red, white, and blue balloons. That one looks to be like Mark Fritzy's balloon because he was in on the target as well.
Yeah, but
so on the field, we have this one with the eye pattern, the yellow and the black. He's going to wind up and attempt to get his orange marker Looks like he got it caught in something as it was winding up and then stopped. There it goes.
Well,
and it fell outside the triangle of the scoring area. There's the yellow one. The yellow one will be measured to the center of the X.
and I was just going to say, Art, the two racers you talked about, Gary Haven, the yellow racer with the star in it, and then just behind him, Zarek Wells in the guilty balloon yellow with the mustache. While they are getting some northerly track, they're also getting a push off to the west, as is the Freedom racer you spoke about. Getting a direct north is looking to be fairly difficult at this moment, but those three balloons directly overhead of the center of the field have got a little bit of it. Again, the blue and pink balloon that is the highest of those three moving in the center of the field does seem to have a fairly good push to the north at a decent rate of speed. All these balloons over to the west are really honestly having a hard time finding that northerly move that they need to get back into a scoring position.
Yeah, and I think the issue is as you said, there's some west in that north, but you need the north, so you have to sacrifice that direction to the west. You just have to fly farther north, because when you drop down, there seems to be a very slow, very thin layer to the east, and you'd have to ride that back over. So the directions are there, but on the difficult side to be able to stay in and be able to make this target. So you're going to have to really pay attention to your altitudes and any changing that might be going on up there.
I was being told here, Kim's on the roof with me helping to spot this morning, and Ralph Kaiser is out in your area now. He's that white balloon, alternating white gores with the multicolored gores that have the reds and blues and purples in it, and the yellow scoop around the bottom. He's just outside the scoring area, it looks like, from our vantage point.
That's correct. Too high for the poles for a nice drop on the poles. That doesn't mean you can't try the toss from up there. But he might be lining up for the Gordon Bennett Memorials and the X's.
Hey, Art, way over
doing a little bit more of a descent.
Yeah, way over to the right, that pink and blue balloon is descending, and there are two markers falling almost side by side coming down from a very high altitude. You might be able to see them now. Yellow marker down, and I think a red or orange one just beside it.
Thanks for spotting that one. We've got our eyes glued on Ralph.
Yeah, well, this guy, he worked from very high trying to get that north, and then finally decided to throw from there. I'm not sure he's even inside the scoring area, to be honest. The yellow marker's inside the flagging, so he might score.
The yellow should be scored to the X. So as long as you're within the flagging, those will get scored.
Okay, well, he's inside the flagging, and the darker
triangle.
The darker red or orange look like it landed nearby it. It's way out here, though, to the almost directly out in front of us in the first bit of the flagging area, so quite a distance from the target.
So Ralph is going up a little bit, while Craig Kennedy at Chick-fil-A seems to be kind of dropping down maybe a little bit. Craig not competing, but Ralph in the competition group. I don't see any markers in hand. So he's just going to kind of probably come down and land by you.
Well, Craig launched as part of the early morning launch pre-competition, so he's not a competitive pilot anyway. While you've got a break there at the target, Art, if you look to the north, down near where the chainsaw carving tints are, looks like we're getting our mini-me's, our model balloons, the Globitos, the RC balloons. There's a whole batch of them that are inflated down along the north road there now. Not sure if that's going to be an attempt at that record we're hoping to set, but there certainly are a lot of them there for the ladies and gentlemen on the field. If you want to go down to that part of the field, you can do so as long as you stay outside of the flagging. And there are, they're on the feed now as well. Again, we're not sure this is an official attempt at getting that Guinness World Record, but there are a whole bunch of the little model or RC balloons, the globitos, that are inflated all along the far end of the field. I can see the Spirit of Fiesta balloon there. The little Zia balloon is in the group. The fireman, the little fire dog with the fire hat, is in that group. So a whole batch of our globitos are now inflating down at the far north end of Balloon Fiesta Park.
I'm at midfield, and so quite a ways away from them, but even my count puts us at least 35 out there, and there are more still inflating as we talk about. The Guilty Mini-Me is out there, as is the Fiesta Gold Balloon. There's a bottle special shape over there. There is the Zia one you talked about. Cork the Puppy, one of our special shape balloons we talked about earlier this morning.
Yep.
The mini balloon, the RC balloon of that is out there. The Spirit of Fiesta balloon is out there. The Hearts of Fire balloon is out there, and a whole slew of others. So while I told you I counted 35, just 5 seconds ago, looking back out there, I see even more standing up. So as we predicted, we would see these set up today, and we'll have to see if we can get more than 50 of them stood up to attempt that record.
Well, and as I look down that direction, Art, as well, there is a bit of a hole in the crowd where the special shapes are, and that whole line of globitos goes well beyond the crowd line. I was only able to see what was at the crowd line outward or westward from the crowd line along the North Road, but now I can see it extends well back over to the east, where, the Fiesta balloon, Spirit of Fiesta, is the Zia balloon is there, Cork the Puppy in that group, and then, to the far western edge of that line of little RC balloons was Hearts of Fire. I noticed that because our friends Pauline Baker and Malcolm White are flying the real or the big Hearts of Fire balloon. We saw them launch this morning. So I would say we're well underway and maybe attempting that Guinness World Record this morning with our model balloons.
So I'm being told and reminded that 55 will break the record or set the record. We are expecting and attempting to get at least 60 up out there this morning. And like I said, every time I count, there's at least 2 or 3 more. So my count is pushing 40 at the moment. And there are a number that I can't see because of the regular size special shape balloons between me and that line.
Hopefully we'll get some word if they are able to set that record, but it would appear that attempt is underway. That would be my guess, based on the huge number of the RC balloons that we do see inflating.
So we still have about 40 minutes left in competition here. The field will close at 10 o'clock. There are only 1 or 2 that are kind of in a more immediate or soon pass here on the targets. As you talked about just a few minutes ago, the upper winds are rolling the balloons farther out to the west. And we do have one that's almost over those remote controls. It's the yellow at the top with the orange. He seems to be managing to find that east direction up there. And he is still far enough north that we could see a nice pass from there. There's another one very high out there. I'm not sure who that might be. And then this yellow equator, kind of elongated diamonds with different hearts in the center of it, blue colors alternating through there. He might have a nice pass here as well. I think we'll take a wait and see what they do. And then we may be heading up to the remote control balloons and see if we can be up there and give you more accurate information on who's standing up, how many, etc.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan. Meanwhile, I'm just checking our Facebook feed again for some of the comments. Janine Giancarco says, is that a wolf balloon that she saw on our feed? It is indeed in the special shapes group at the far north end of the field that is still inflated. That is a wolf balloon, and that is Ashley Moore who flies that balloon. They are here from the UK. They're part of the Longleat Wild Fleet, as it were, or Babel, or battalion, or platoon, or all those other terms that we used earlier today for a group of balloons. So yes, you were well spotted. That is, in fact, a wolf balloon that is still stood up down there. Looks like there's a bit of a break in the action for you, Art. I mean, there are a few balloons up high that are over the center of the field that could still drop in. Telemendo's balloon is coming into a landing zone from the south end of the field there with the purple and green and blue spiral in it. The great majority of the balloons are still finding themselves far off to the west, and really having to hunt for any kind of a wind to bring them back over the field.
You can see the green, red, and orange zigzag balloon. She is directly over the west target. They would have to drop from there, although they're now passing over it. So the momentum would carry the marker. Well, here it comes. There's one. Are they two? Yep, there they are. And there's the orange one outside.
There's another one coming down from that green balloon.
Looks like another orange one. Yeah, so drop from, oh, here comes the third one. 4. All of them outside the triangles, but their non-orange color markers will be measured to the center of the X. We do have another one, yellow towards the bottom here. Looks like there's pink on top. Could also drop from that high. And I think if I were the pilot at that altitude, I'd be dropping now. Although they're bringing their balloon down closer first. And having to push through that little direction to the west.
Well, that round balloon that's red at the bottom.
As they are, and at the speed they're moving, they're going to have to keep in mind the momentum of the baggie when they drop. There it is. So they did drop ahead of time.
There's the second marker.
There's 2 of them. There's one inside the triangle, 2 inside the triangle. So one will be scored to the X, the other inside the triangle. So played the momentum very nicely, dropping before you get to the X so that the momentum carries it down into the triangle. On the other side of the field, the one I mentioned before, the blue verticals separated by the elongated yellow diamonds and the red hearts, it's going to be coming right down over the edge of the scoring field on the east side.
Yeah, they could do a windup and get a marker inside the scoring area, but they're right along the east, the furthermost eastern edge of the scoring area, Art.
Yeah, and with that little push to the west, it's going to get a little closer.
Well, if they would drop down, and get a little further in, they will get that westerly push as we see the balloons that are down low here in front of us. They would slide, and that would bring them further out into the scoring area, giving them a better score. But at this point, they're maintaining their altitude just over the crowd and the eastern line of the scoring boundary.
Don't you just love this flying from the ground that we can provide to the pilots?
Yeah. Isn't it amazing what great pilots we are sitting here on the ground?
We can see from this angle now that balloon is sponsored by KRQE, Channel 13, here in the New Mexico area.
Well, and if he was really creative, he'd get the airship to come over and just push him out into the scoring area.
There's the marker drop for the X. And our scoring team already starting their task of measuring all of the baggies that have been dropped. Remember, they're measuring the orange ones inside the triangle, as those are the Gordon Bennett Memorial Task. If an orange one is outside the scoring area, it'll be recorded as being outside the scoring area. All the non-orange colored markers will be measured and scored to the center of that X as part of the other task. So 2 different baggy tasks today. And of course, the ring the pole task out there as well. And if you missed it, we believe Chris Sabia did get a pole in the Wonder Balloon. So that will be $2,000 to Chris.
No, that'll be $2,000 to Amanda.
Maybe they'll split it at $1,000 each.
Well, that might work.
Of course, maybe Chris would take 500, Amanda could take 500, you could get 500, and I could get 500.
All approved, motion carries, all opposed. I'll vote for that.
We have one abstention. We have one objection out here. Ruth Lind is not happy that she's not in the mix. Hey, Glenn, since it doesn't look like anybody's going to get here in the next few minutes or so, or maybe even in the next 30 or 35 that we have for the competition, we're going to take a moment. We're going to run down to the remote control balloons and see what we can bring you about that record attempt that is underway with our remote control RC balloons up at the north end of the field.
All right, why don't you go ahead and change locations? I'll fill in from here while you do that. Just give us a shout when you're down there and ready to come back live. And yeah, I think most of our competitive scoring is over for the day. Most of the other balloons that I see are well off to the west, and I just don't see a pattern that would bring them back. We do have that one balloon high overhead that is the horizontal bands of burgundies and reds and pinks and purple. I can't recall now. I think they've already dropped. As I recall, they dropped down rather rapidly and through from high altitude. So I think they're probably just trying to maybe fly onto a landing site. The KRQE balloon Art was talking about did come down here to the south end of the field. They flew along the crowd line there on the east and just got to the southern end of Balloon Fiesta Park here where they were able to land. So yeah, and some of the special shapes are still standing up. The squirrel balloon is up. I see the armadillo has just deflated. Looks like the moose is still up. Oh, there's the tennis shoe. But it used to be Famous Footwear. I'm not sure what the name of it is now without looking in my database real quickly. But they're still up, as are some of the witch balloons at the far north end of the field. And Ashley Moore still has the wolf standing up down there. So it does look like I'm going to have to assume from what I can see here that we are well underway in attempting the RC balloon record this morning. And for the truck, my monitor's gone black up here. I don't know what that might be. Maybe the power's turned off or something, but I've lost the monitor up here. But yeah, there is quite a long line. In fact, it looks a bit like a mass ascension from Balloon Fiesta Field down there at the north end of the field where the RC balloons are. I know we have a lot of interest in this on the live feed. You know, with regard to the record, we had a lot of people were asking this morning if it would be attempted, and it would appear to us that it is, and we'll find out further once Art is down there. Somebody checking in now from Walla Walla, Washington. Saying thanks for the feed. Super excited to see the RC balloons is Kareen Fearer. I hope I said that right, Kareen. Yep, it does look like we're going for the RC record today. Kareen is laughing out loud. Glenn is funny. I don't know what I said that was funny, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. I try to be entertaining when we can. It might have been the comment about the $2,000 going to Amanda, because I see it was right after some comments about the Wonder Balloon. But at any rate, yeah, we do try to throw a little humor into the program wherever we have the opportunity. So yeah, so we're going to move Art. We are moving Art and the camera crew down to the north end of the field, where it does appear that our attempt at setting a Guinness World Record for the number of RC balloons inflated is ongoing, and looks like a lot of the crowd has perhaps begun to make its way down there, because the crowd line along the eastern edge where all of the shapes were has definitely thinned out. Now some are moving over to the Main Street to do some shopping before they leave this morning, which they may be doing a little bit later. We're still, let's see, checking my clock. We're only at 9:30, and I believe the targets were going to be open until 10 this morning, because we get off to, although we got off pretty close to, no, it was 8:30ish when we started. So yeah, pretty sure the targets will be open until 10. We'll know when the targets close, because they'll pop smoke down there to tell us that. But I think the focus right now has to be on the RC balloons all along the north road of Balloon Fiesta Park, and I think a lot of the crowd is moving down there to see that. Now, these model balloons are just like their larger cousins. They're built in most cases of the same fabrics. They're built in the same patterns, and by that I mean each envelope is a series of panels that are sewn into gores, being vertical pieces of fabric, and then the gores are sewn together to create the round balloon. The baskets are very much similar to what we actually fly in. They're wicker baskets in most cases, with a couple of burners, typically one or two burners on it. You don't need a lot of burners on a small RC balloon. And they use propane for fuel, just like we do. So there are a lot of similarities in the RC balloon and their larger flying cousins. The RC balloons are, in many cases, what I've been referring to as mini-me's. For example, the Hearts of Fire is a duplicate or a replica of the larger Hearts of Fire balloon. The Spirit of Fiesta balloon obviously looks just like the real Spirit of Fiesta balloon. Then we've got the Zia balloon, and that is Dr. Tom McConnell's granddaughter, who is the chairman of that. She is the pilot, I'm sorry, of the little Zia balloon that is, again, a mini-me of their larger flying balloon, as are several of the, there it's back, Greg, or Gary, it was for a moment. So a lot of the balloons are replicas, and that's really been the growth in the sport of RC ballooning here in the States in the last several months, has been the number of balloon pilots who are getting into or building an RC balloon as a means for them to enjoy ballooning on those days when perhaps maybe you don't go out and fly your big balloon. So a lot of these RC balloons are, in fact, purposely built as replicas of their larger flying balloons. So Art is down in that area now. We're just trying to reestablish the signal and the audio, and he can bring us some more accurate reporting from down there. I can just tell you what I can see, and I'm literally completely at the opposite end of Balloon Fiesta Park. My monitor's been restored, so I can see a little bit more now because I have the advantage of seeing what our cameras are showing us. And so I believe we do now have Art and the team down in the RC area. So Art, I'm going to toss it back to you, and maybe you can give us a little more accurate picture of what's happening down there.
Thanks, Glenn. So we are up here at the north end of the field, right at the edge of the line of this RC record-breaking attempt. We need to get to 55 to break the record. As I started up here, I was told that they were already at 48. There are more inflating as we go on. Here's this great little Michigan balloon here, the kind of cow balloon, if you will. There's another one inflating here. You can see that there's a baby Yoda maybe in the basket of the white and black balloon. There's all kinds of animals in the Michigan balloon. But if we start counting as we move through here, and again, more are being set up, just since we started the conversation with you, the multicolor one to the left there. But let's start walking down the line here with our cameraman, Tom. So as we count, and we are not the official count, but there's 3. Here's another one that is getting ready to be inflated. So that would be 4. Matt Guthrie here, former president of the board of directors, has his mini balloon up. Notice that they even have banner numbers on the side of the basket. And who's the passenger in there, Matt? Tweety Bird is the passenger inside.
Covering her eyes.
She's covering her eyes. This is incredible, the number of these balloons that are out here. And you can see they're all on tethers as we keep walking through. Here's the Hearts of Fire balloon. More being inflated back. I've already lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not with the Guinness Book of World Records, because trying to be able to count through these is going to be something else. So little propane burners, as you've described, they have the scoop. They've got the same types of cables. Most of them are trying to, kind of point the basket so that you have the burner. Burners on the real balloons, the full-size balloons, tend to be gimbaled. That means you can rotate them to point them into that big opening and be able to point the flame. Little more difficult, and so you end up picking up the basket to be able to get the flame inside. So we're going to continue to walk through the middle of all of this. Lots of people out here enjoying these remote control balloons. And many right down not only to the baskets and the passengers, but the banner markers on the side. The one behind me, we won't turn around to look at it. It even has a memorial ribbon. You remember on the first Sunday that our regular shaped balloons carry those memorial ribbons on there in honor of those people in their family or the ballooning family that have passed on. The balloons are carrying those as well. Can we take a look off this way? We see that they're actually starting to build balloons with inlay balloons on them as well. So balloons on balloons, the intricacy of this is already starting to show up in these remote control balloons, just like it is in our large balloons. Kind of back behind us, that Guilty Mini-Me, and right next to it, a Cosmic Crisp balloon. Cosmic Crisp, I don't know if you're going to get around to this or Tom. The Cosmic Crisp balloon was our balloon of the day today, and they have a mini balloon out here as well. And you can see a green one right in there inflating. So we continue to stand up more and more of these. The last count given to me was 48. Remember, we need 55 to break the record. We're expecting 60 of those to stand up. We have about 85 balloons registered here. So as we continue to walk down through the field here, here's another one of those. It's a zoo, which is a nice orange and black balloon with the animals around it, like they're, and here's a replica of that. The work and the craftsmanship in these balloons is pretty incredible. And it's a little breezy here, so they're working to be sure and point the basket into the opening as the envelope flops a little bit due to the wind.
Art, I'm wondering who's doing the official counting.
Dr. Steve Comandina with. I didn't hear you, Glenn. Say that again.
I was just asking, Art. I wonder who is doing the official counting to determine if, in fact, we do set the record today.
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. I know that when we've set records here in the past with our regular size balloons, that there was a representative from Guinness here. I don't know if that's the case this year or not.
Okay.
But you can be sure that there's a number of people attempting to make that count.
We actually have a great shot on the screen on our feed of Wes the Wolf that is still standing up, the full-size balloon, looking down from this camera perspective on all of the little mini-me's, the RC balloons in front of him. Really quite an impressive photo. But what a scene that is. And by the way, Art, the crowd, our audience online is loving your commentary and the pictures that our camera crew are capturing down there. It's really unique for us to be able to have you walking through that scene and providing live coverage of it to viewers around the world as we attempt to set this Guinness World Record for the most number of inflated RC balloons.
Right now, she's 9 short of the balloon.
I think I heard some comment that we're 9 short of the record.
That is the count that has been given to me. Right at this point, we are like 9 short of the record. Right behind me, Chris Cutter, Sid Cutter's grandson, has one of the world balloons. I'm guessing, I don't see the stars on this one, but one of the world balloons here with all the flag pennants. Of course, there was a brand new world balloon built this year called Beautiful World. Jewel Cutter had that built. Sam Parks has been flying it along with some other folks as well. But this is Chris Cutter, Sid's grandson, out here flying a mini-me of one of the world balloons.
Outstanding.
So we continue to stand them up. Yeah, we continue to stand them up. Back there by Zarek, actually his wife Karen Wells with the Guilty and the Cosmic Crisp. At least 2 more have stood up there. So we continue to have them stand up. And whoever is counting officially is definitely going to have a difficult time in keeping track and making sure we get to that point. But, yeah, this is really exciting to be down here in the middle of this. The spectators are out here loving it, exciting. The pictures, the cameras. Oh, and here's a tarp. So how many did we say we were short? About 9. Well, we've got enough tarp space right here that we could stand up a number of them. In fact, there's 3 more right here, 4 more being the 4th one being stretched out. There's 4 more baskets here. So this area I'm standing in right now could be the number of balloons that push us over the top as they stretch them out and stand them up and get them inflated. And you can see it works just like the big balloons, the full-size ones. It comes out of a bag, they stretch it out, they take the cables and connect it to the basket, they do a little burner check, and then they turn on a little fan and blow some air into the balloon, get it cold packed, turn on the burner, make it go hot, it stands up, it now counts towards our inflation of RC balloons. And this pack behind me, I'm not sure if you're on me, but this pack behind me, boy, it's just pretty really incredible there. There is the Fiesta balloon, all kinds of people that are making their balloons and setting them up and inflating them here as we go for a Guinness World Record for the most number of model balloons inflated at the same time. It takes 55 inflated balloons to break the record, and we were expecting to be able to get 60 up. The last information handed to me is that we were about 9 short, but like I said, there's 4 or 5 right here in front of me that are in the process of getting ready to be inflated, that whole process of hooking it up, cold inflating, and then actually standing the balloon up.
Well, and my guess would be, Art, that all of the balloons have to be standing at the same time. Just standing
everywhere
it up.
I look, there's remote control balloons. Go ahead, Glenn.
I was just saying, Art, my guess is that all the balloons will have to be standing together at the same time to get an official count. You can't just inflate your balloon, stand it up, and then take it back down routinely, because then you wouldn't be a part of the group. I mean, that's my guess.
That would be mine as well. But, you know, it only takes literally a few seconds to be able to re-stand the balloon back up. If you were to deflate it for some reason, it's not like it takes 5 to 10 minutes to fill it full of air and get it hot. These are going to fill up in just minutes with cold air, and then the heat makes it stand up. So it's almost like if we could have a radio signal or an all burn or something, some command like that to make sure that everybody was inflated, that would definitely make sure that all of them up and be able to get another count here. So behind me, you see maybe the Zia balloon. Tom McConnell, who flew the big Zia balloon out of here earlier today, now back with his remote control balloon. And right next to it is the Spirit of Fiesta balloon being flown by the treasurer of the board of directors, Mr. Dick Rice. And he's got a little, looks like dinosaur in his basket back there. Dick in the chair, just taking a real leisurely piloting effort here with these remote control balloons. Some of the balloons are, we saw some of them just kind of hanging on to the basket, kind of getting them inflated. A couple of them this way are actually starting to let the balloons go up on a tether line. We typically don't let them fly away because there's nobody in the basket. There's no way to control it. If you get too far away, you lose that remote control signal. So the idea here is that you're able to take care of that, and they don't go away. They stay right there. Is that your firing balloon?
So yeah, this one is a little more advanced. This one will do either a remote control, like what she's flying right there next to me, or this one's just hardwired with a 25-foot tether.
Well, that's interesting.
So you can fly it either way.
So this purple one that we're looking at right here, the pilot is just telling me he's got a little hardwired control up there versus having to use the remote control wireless. It works on the wireless as well, but the idea of is he's got his balloon there. He's got to just button in his hand, part of the tether. He's able to fly it that way, as well as being able to hook up a remote control. So, and as you see, you can see the leather, the wicker, the way the basket has all been woven. So these really are miniature replicas of all of the 650 balloons, regular size and Cecil shapes that we have available here as well. So a number of balloons still being inflated and set up as we go through the day. And even kind of a throwback, there is a bottle shape out here as well. Glenn, you might remember in the 80s and 90s, the bottle-shaped balloon was very popular here. All the different alcohol and soft drinks and all of those liquid refreshment manufacturers seemed like they had a bottle-shaped balloon. And we have one here in the mini-size RC-controlled balloons.
Yeah, I do recall that, Art. You remember there was the LeBlat's Blue bottle balloon. There was the Early Times whiskey balloon bottle. There was a Brut champagne, a Brut cologne bottle. The bottle shape was one of the very earliest. Next to the can, which was just a cylinder, the bottle shape was really kind of the second, perhaps most popular shape, because it was a very simple shape to build. And yeah, there were a bunch of those at one time that were flying, well, universally around the world, but the bottle shape was always quite popular, and usually several of them on site in some of the early Fiesta. You're absolutely right. Someone asked in our Facebook group, is the record for inflation or launch? Well, we're not launching these RC balloons. It is a record for inflation. All they have to do is inflate and be standing up. They may, those pilots that want to release it on a tether might do so, but we're not going to launch and free fly these balloons under any circumstances, and certainly not for this record. So the record is simply to get the record number of RC balloons inflated all at one time in the one location here. And that was the point I was driving with the question earlier, Art, was that those who inflated very early need to be sure they keep their balloons inflated and up right until the end in order to be able for us to get a full count of all the balloons. Although, as you said, if they deflate, they can be reinflated rather rapidly.
Yes, and I think the actual terminology of the record is the most number of model hot air balloons inflated at the same time in the same location.
Okay.
I think that's pretty close to the technical wording that we're talking about on that particular record. So yes, they need to be inflated. They are, in fact, model balloons, and they are powered by hot air. So those are the key portions here. We are getting a little bit of a breeze up here that is kind of keeping these balloons rocking and rolling a little bit. So it's a little bit of a struggle. They are not able, well, the little mini balloons don't handle the wind nearly as well as our full-size balloons. So there's a lot of effort going here to be able to keep the balloon inflated, warm enough that it stands up. The wind would tend to collapse the balloon from the side if you let it get too cool. So having flown one of these little RC balloons one time, I can tell you, at least at first, it's probably as difficult, if not more difficult, than flying a regular full-size balloon. Now, I don't need a license to fly the mini balloons. I do on the other, and there is probably a lot more practice it takes to fly the full-size balloons, but it's not a slam dunk to be able to fly these little mini balloons out here. They are that takes some practice and some figuring out of how to make that work, especially if there's a little bit of a breeze out here. So we have a number of them still laid out, either waiting to inflate or reinflate out here. And we'll have to find someone who is working on the count to see if we have made that count, because we're starting to get more of them laying down at the moment than standing up. But again, if we were to get a nice here, we could have them all inflated very quickly. And I think there's enough out here, but I'm not the person who actually gets to count.
Well, strangely enough, Art, meanwhile, we're still about 10 minutes away from the close of competition. I haven't seen the smoke popped at the target yet. That's, not that there are any balloons anywhere near the likelihood of scoring, but all the scoring officials are still out on the field. So I think we still have about 10 minutes left in the window for the competition, but clearly all the balloons have either landed or they're well out of the away from the field at this point. The only real balloon standing, we still have a couple of shapes standing, and then your RC balloons there on the far end of the field.
So we're going to make our way back through the line of RC balloons here. As we get towards wrapping up our broadcast this morning, we'll kind of take another pass through. I haven't heard the official number yet. Somebody's asking me if we set that up. And so I have to find somebody who's doing that count so that we can see what the situation might be. I would guess we have enough balloons out here to break that record. The question is, did we get them all inflated at the same time to be able to make that stick? And like everything, especially with official records and things like that, we always have kind of the unofficial, we did it or we didn't do it, or they got this number of points or that number of points. And so we'll have to just wait and see what actually comes out of this. But my count is there's plenty of balloons out here to break that record. Whether we actually did it or not will be up for those who actually have to go ahead and count. Can we get this? I mentioned earlier that on Sunday, our regular shaped balloons carried those memorial markers ribbons on their baskets in honor of those who we have left. And I wanted to show you that on this particular mini-me here as well, not only do they have the stuffed animals as passengers, but there is one of those memory ribbons on this balloon as well. And I just noticed too that they're running their own little camera up there as well. We talked about Joe Zavada and some of those other guys running a camera operation on there. So right down to the modern technology that is taking place, it's right here in the basket on these mini RC balloons as well. So again, we continue to monitor what's out here and bring you pictures of the RC balloons as we attempt to set a world record for the most number of model hot air balloons inflated at the same time. Hopefully you can even hear some of the burner noise out here as well. And the tether lines go back to the envelope itself, which is exactly where you connect a tether line or a tie-off line in a regular size balloon. So the accuracy, not only in the shape and the design and the colors, but also in the actual control of the balloon and the way it is rigged, the wicker of the basket, and even the tie-off lines. And as we saw here, right down to the memory ribbons and the remote cameras as well. So a great morning out here among all these balloons. And actually, you know, it feels at the moment like the wind might be calming. So this might be the time when, if we didn't already set the record, we go ahead and ask some folks to get them stood up. The count is going on. Again, it takes 55 to break the record. We're expecting at least 60 to stand up here today so that we have a little bit of margin. And somebody else is counting. I'm glad that it's not me doing it. So great time out here at the RCs. And I know that we're about to wrap up here. So I'm going to give it back to you, to Glenn, to tell us what's up on tap the rest of the night and the rest of the weekend. Oh, Glenn is... So I get to do that. Okay. All right. So I'll take us through that. So we're going to wrap up here in the next few minutes, and we will be back tonight at 6 o'clock. We will be back live on the stream, but at 5 o'clock, for those of you who are on the field, Fast Tracks will be jumping in at 5 o'clock, and they will be dropping in with the national anthem and the flag. Again, on the field, that's at 5 o'clock. We'll show it to you at 6 o'clock on Balloon Fiesta Live. And then we are scheduled for the final Rodeo Glodio tonight, when we'll stand up our special shaped balloons and do a balloon glow tonight. At 7:30, after the glow, we are scheduled to have Fast Tracks jump back in with their pyrotechnics. At 7:45, that fabulous new drone show. If you're here on the field, you'll be able to see it live. If you're watching on Balloon Fiesta Live, you'll still be able to see it live. And then at 8 o'clock, it's our fabulous fireworks. And then we're back to a Saturday, and we're back to a regular weekend mass ascension with a Dawn Patrol show, the drone show before we come on the air. And we will be able to take us through a full day of activities again tomorrow, wrapping up on Sunday with our farewell mass ascension. Hard to believe, Glenn, that we are already at the second weekend.
Absolutely. We're literally days away from the end. And thank you for the wrap-up. You kind of stole my thunder there, but that's okay. We appreciate it. And what a great job you've done down there with the crew. And we'll get word later on whether or not we actually set the record. We have a window of opportunity that we have to adhere to as well. And so we need to sign off the Balloon Fiesta live feed at 10 o'clock this morning. As Art said, it's been a great day of competition. Great to see all the RC balloons and the special shapes. So we will be back this afternoon with more of Balloon Fiesta Live to carry on through the remainder of this 50th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. It's all powered by ExxonMobil. For Art Lord Jr., all the team with Windfire Productions, I'm Glenn Moyer. Have a great day. We'll be back live again tonight. See ya.
You've been watching Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by ExxonMobil. Want more balloon action? Visit the archive of all the Balloon Fiesta live broadcasts at balloonfiesta.com. And make plans to join us in person for number 51, October 7th through the 15th, 2023. Thanks for watching Balloon Fiesta Live. This program is a production of AIBF Inc. from the hot air balloon capital of the world, this is Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by ExxonMobil. Direct from the rooftop studio at Balloon Fiesta Park in Albuquerque, New Mexico, here are the hosts of Balloon Fiesta Live, Glenn Moyer and Art Lloyd Jr.
Good morning, Albuquerque. It is day 7 of the 49th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. You're watching Balloon Fiesta Live, sponsored by ExxonMobil, powered by ExxonMobil. I'm Glenn Moyer, and as always, to my right-hand man, the executive producer and a great all-around guy, Mr. Art Lloyd Jr. Good morning, Art.
Good morning. I'll try and get your check signed today.
Thank you.
And good morning to everybody else watching from everywhere. Can you kill your audio on your?
Oh, I can do that. Yeah,
Thank you very much. So good morning everywhere. I've already seen Switzerland online in our YouTube chat room. Of course, you're checking out our Facebook one as well.
I've seen them there. I've seen Kentucky and Ohio, California. Michigan has just checked in. So yeah, people are online and
ready to go
for day 7.
Day
right?
7.
Yeah,
another special shapes day here at Balloon Fiesta Park.
that's right.
And so we're going to have our Dawn Patrol flight this morning. We will have special shape balloons standing up, flying away, remaining static on the field. We're going to have all of our non-competitors take off from the field and fly away.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have all those competitors come flying in.
And the interesting thing about this morning is we've already heard from our flight officials, our safety teams, and the Balloon Meisters and his team that we have a reverse box. So that means, those of you here on the field, we're used to seeing the balloons inflate and launch, and they fly toward the south. They come toward us
right off the field
here on the rooftop studio, and then they climb high and move south to north. This morning, however, the balloons, the winds are not out of the north. In that case, the winds are from the north, the canyon drainage winds we talk about, and bring the balloons to the south. This morning, it's reverse.
So they're take off from the field and they're going to go north. When they go high, they'll come back south, which means when they come in for competition, they're going to come right in,
right over our heads,
and dropping into the field
from the south. That's right.
We just saw a quick view of pilot's briefing there. We'll go out there when we get the weather, and they'll confirm the box conditions, the reverse box conditions for us. And so we'll be checking in with those guys, but it's going to be an interesting day today with the reverse box happening here, as if that indeed sets up as everyone expects. And so far, our weather guys have been right on, telling us what to expect, and we've actually been seeing those conditions. Great day in competition on board. We don't know the exact task, but we do know that the 5 poles will be back, and they'll be throwing that ring over the top of the poles.
Each pole worth $2,000 in prize money. If a single pilot gets his ring on the pole or her ring, they win the full $2,000. If multiple pilots ring a pole, then the $2,000 is split evenly amongst them. And when we talk about a ring, it's like a miniature hula hoop, maybe about 12 inches across.
Yeah, it's about 12 inches. Here's one right here.
It's like.
And so just enough to fit it over. But the pole,
pilots, if you don't make the pole, you're welcome to come try and get it on Art's head.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you don't win any money for that. You have to pay me for that one.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, $1,000.
Okay.
Of course, if you can get 2 guys to split it, then it's only $500 apiece.
Yeah, I might come up with a few bucks with some friends to see if we can't get that done.
Yeah. You got to be careful what you say up here, because so many people hear it and take everything we say literally.
It's on the internet. It must be true, right?
It must be. It must be, so that it's there. 3 pilots actually managed to ring the poles yesterday.
That's right.
Haven't confirmed all their names, but it's actually was really fun to be out there, and we'll be out there again today, and we'll give them another chance. And since they had practice yesterday, I think there might even be more on the poles with their rings today.
Yeah, because they all had a shot at it to see how it works. And of course, are you going to retell the story about having jinxed Zarek?
So before we talk about that,
okay,
we managed to get a clip from the basket of what it looks like coming in on the Ring the Pole event. So go ahead, Stephen, roll that for us, if you would, please. So there's the pole in front of them.
Yep, they're standing there in the basket flying, approaching the pole.
And they're kind of like, all right, we're getting closer. They're coming right in on it.
Got the ring ready.
Yep. And there it is. And
Bingo.
you set it on there. No throw, no nothing. You just set it right on the pole and just let it drop right down.
And that was that. By the way, that video was pilot Bruce Byberg.
Yes. I appreciate them sharing that video with us to be able to show that to you. So what you were talking about is Zarek Wells was coming in. He had a very similar line to Bruce that we just saw. And I called it from out there. I said, we got to watch Zarek coming in because he's got a great line on this pole.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just said, of course, I probably just jinxed it because, things just change and you drift off ever so slightly and you miss.
Yes.
Zarek comes right up. He's almost exactly the same kind of position on that pole, and he reaches down to set the ring down, and it bounced off. And, of course, I had said I probably jinxed him, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
So when we came back to the studio last night, the set was just covered with guilty trading cards.
Because you were guilty.
No, he's guilty.
No,
I just
you were
called
guilty.
it as it is.
No, you were guilty. You jinxed him.
I did.
If you'd have kept your mouth shut, he probably would have won $1,000.
Yeah.
So you should just be writing him a check as we're speaking right now. Just go ahead and pay up.
Zarek's doing actually very well in the overall competition. The polls is its own little separate competition, as is the Sid Cutter Memorial that we did on Monday.
Right.
All of the other targets, the Gordon Bennett Memorial that we did,
multiple judge declared goals we've run,
and technically yesterday's was called a multiple Fiesta declared goal. So
okay,
Judge Fiesta.
yeah,
I just kind of looked at it. Okay, but technically that's what they called it yesterday, was a Fiesta one. It's exactly the same as a multiple judge declared goal.
Yeah, and by the way, Travis Mathis sent me that video of Bruce on the pole, and then obviously we've shown it to you. So thank you, Travis, for bringing that to our attention.
So we do see that our Dawn Patrol flight team is pretty much cold inflated. I've been hearing them say on the radio that they're cold packed and ready to stand up, waiting for the last ones of those. They don't do the coordinated, well, they do coordinate, but they don't do the whole show with all of us. They just kind of do the Dawn Patrol thing, and here they go with the little flickers.
Interesting thing about watching the comments on our various video feeds, I'm looking at our Facebook feed, and one person saying good morning from Arizona and another person saying good evening from Japan.
Hey, we're hearing from Belgium and Newport News, Virginia. New Zealand is checking in. Liberty, South Carolina. Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan.
I've got, let's see, North Dakota, Newtown, North Dakota.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. Boise, Idaho.
Pennsylvania.
The Netherlands.
Woodward, Oklahoma. As I said, Japan.
Farnborough, England.
Tampa, Florida has checked in.
Riska is here in Albuquerque.
Brooklyn, New York.
Ottawa, Kansas. Cumming, Georgia. Blackwood, Wales, UK. Michigan. Atkins, Texas. Hudson, Florida. Say hi to Hamlet for me. All right, Nancy.
Austin, Texas says hook 'em horns. You bet. Yeah, lots of folks out there. My cats are up and active too. My pet camera keeps sending me motion alerts. Yeah, so Ranger and Bonnie are up and moving about this morning. Columbus, South Carolina. Shiner, Texas. Minneapolis checking in. Batesville, Arkansas. Southern Illinois. Alberta, Canada. Good morning from Liberty Hill, Texas.
Thanks to all of you for joining us online. Be sure and share this out with all of your friends and neighbors. And if you missed anything this week, want to go back and see any of the competition that we've just kind of talked about, all those shows are archived. The simplest way to see them, I mean, you can see them on Facebook or YouTube. A simple way to be able to pick and choose easily, I think, just go to balloonfiesta.com, click on Balloon Fiesta Live. All the shows are linked there.
And Colin Wright checking in from merry old England, from London, England. Good morning, Colin.
Greenville,
to have you
South
watching.
Carolina is awake, as is Connecticut.
And of course, as soon as I said there was a hook 'em horns, now we've got someone saying hello from Katy. We just returned from Fiesta. So amazing. Giga Maggies.
And there's the first all burn from our Dawn Patrol flight team.
Yep. Another person checking in from Cornwall, UK, Long Island, New
All
York,
right.
Kansas City. So the world is waking up to Balloon Fiesta.
City. Kansas City, here I come.
Yeah. Wausau, Wisconsin.
Ann Arbor, Michigan, and South Dakota as well.
Rochester, Minnesota. Good morning from Pembine. Is that the way you say that? Wisconsin?
Could be. I don't know.
Moved up there from Moriarty, just around the corner of the mountains.
Just the other side of the mountains.
Yep.
You bet.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. Arkansas. Let's see.
Dawn Patrol, let's give a flicker. 3,
Lawrenceburg, New York. Here comes a flicker burn
1,
from the Dawn Patrol
flicker.
team. Taylorsville, Utah. Haven't seen many people checking in from Utah. It's good to them. Southern California.
A very good early morning to Southern California, as
our
opposed to
friend,
the afternoon to all the folks the other direction.
I made the comment the world is waking up to Balloon Fiesta, and Malcolm White, who's over in Ireland, says, waking up, the day is half over. Well, for you, maybe, Malcolm, not for us.
Well, maybe they're waking up from their midday nap.
I was going to say, some of us don't wake up till midday normally anyway, so yeah.
Yep. That is one thing that when
Adelaide, Australia, checking in.
Cool.
Down under. Cool.
Everybody ready for an
Yeah.
all-burn?
So we start to try and work naps in the middle of the day during the week.
Yeah. Oh, look at that shot. That's beautiful. All in a line there, the Dawn Patrol flight.
It is dead calm here on the field at the moment.
Well, that's good.
55.8 degrees, 0 winds out of the southwest. How do you have 0 mile-an-hour winds out of a direction?
I don't know. I had to think about that for a moment, and I don't have much gray matter left, and what is left doesn't really work very well anymore. But no, I don't know.
You know, a wind director indicator has to point some way. It can't just not point somewhere. It just doesn't move from what it was before.
Hey, Dawn Patrol, let's give a flicker.
Yeah. Good
3,
afternoon,
2, 1.
Adam
flicker.
Bennell checking in from, or is that Benelli? Let me look at my phone a little closer so I can read. Bennell checking in from Bristol in the UK, wishing they were here with Roger the Panther. Plano, Texas, one of my old stomping grounds, checking in. Camden, Maine.
Sugarland, Texas. Another one from Connecticut, watching for Gusty Guppy.
There was a fun movie made one year, many years ago now, called Sugarland.
Another Netherlands, also in from Clovis.
Burlington, North Carolina. Chicago, Illinois.
Shout out from Watrous, New Mexico. Flemington, New Jersey. And Frederick, Maryland.
Alabama. Those of you in Chicagoland have sadly lost a really wonderful balloon event. The Lyle Eyes to the Skies Balloon Festival announced this year that it will no longer take place, which is a shame. COVID kind of took it out of the, took all the wind out of their balloons, or the hot air out of their balloons, I guess. And I just took all the hot
just
air
heard
out of
from
my feet.
heard on the radio for our Dawn Patrol flight this morning that they're going to do another all burn, and then he said they're going to walk out. So the idea, that means they're going to set up, they're going to do another one of those simultaneous launches.
Oh,
Normally
okay.
we launch one balloon at a time. We start in the middle, we start on the outsides, but they're going to do another one of those simultaneous launches. So they'll split the balloons up just a little bit, because as you can see, they're all touching right at the moment. They want to put just a little bit of space between them. And then the idea with the simultaneous launches, they all go off the ground at the same time, as you might expect, but then stay together in a pack, almost formation flying, if you will.
As much as they can, and they should be able to do that very well today, given that there are 0 mile per hour winds.
But you have to pay attention not only to your flying now, but to how everybody else is flying. And since when you burn, there's a few second delay before your balloon responds, you really have to be paying attention to each other so that you're doing the same thing in anticipation of what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
They're starting to
There we
walk
go.
the few out, and we should be able to see that synchronized launch here momentarily.
Natchitoches, Louisiana, checking in, home of the Steel Magnolias movie. That's correct. Natchitoches, a little south of where I live in Keithville, Louisiana.
And of course, we continue to monitor pilots briefing as well, so that when we get to the weather segment, we'll check in with them and figure out what they're telling the pilots what they can expect today. Of course, we've already tipped you off as to what they're going to hear.
Yeah, Mike Macaluso, I hope I'm saying that correctly. Mike says, we'll miss the Lyle event. It was always great to hear your voice there. Thank you, Mike. It was great to be associated with that event for more than 25 years, and always enjoyed my annual summer July 4th trip up to Chicagoland and Lyle, Illinois.
One more Auburn. 3, 2, 1, Auburn.
Since it's so calm here, that just looks so great.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Even the video looks like a still picture.
Yep. And when they get up in the air, it's going to be really pretty.
It is.
We had some great pictures yesterday because they, of course, came right over the top of the rooftop studio in a bunch. I don't think we'll see that this morning, probably. Western Australia, Tampa, Florida says hello. Sarasota, Florida.
This is Mike. One balloon is buoyant.
So we're going to watch the synchronization launch here, but we're going to check in with the audio going on over at Pilots Briefing.
That is going to be weakening with time, and so we're looking at changing conditions through the morning hours. So I'll explain that and how that's going to work through the flight window. With that low pressure system to our north and west, you can see that we've had a fair amount of mid and high level clouds. What the net result is that our drainage, especially here locally around Balloon Fiesta Park, is not as strong as what it has been much of the week. So that's going to change the surface conditions for what we're typically expecting. So for this morning, I'll start at Sunport. Temperature is 55 degrees, dew point of 37, relative humidity of 51%, sorry. Barometric pressure is 30.21 inches of mercury, and the out of the southeast, so 160 at 4 knots. Over at Double Eagle, it's 10 degrees colder, so temperature of 46, dew point of 34, relative humidity 61%. Barometric pressure is 30.23 inches of mercury. And because it's so much colder over there, I think that's why they have a northwest wind. So their wind is 310 at 5 knots over there. So here you can see that generally temperatures are running in the mid 50s, but we do have those colder pockets out there, and that's where you'll start to see those northwest winds. So what we have is this. In the near surface layer, it's going to be a prevailing light south to north direction. So given that the prevailing wind is going to be out of the south, you may want to change your layout conditions, that sort of thing. I will say, though, it's going to be light. So you can see the balloons, Dawn Patrol are moving now, probably in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 knots. So it's going to be a slow push. But if you look at the profiler, and you can see it's already starting to change. So you've got lots of light and variable conditions in the lowest 1,500 feet. So given that that's the case, you can steer, especially earlier on through the flight window, you can steer to pretty much anywhere you want to go, I think, in the lowest 1,500 to 2,000 feet. Here's where it gets kind of cool for the early pilots. If you get up to around 2,000 to 2,500 feet, you notice that you have a wind out of the north going to the south. So it's actually a reverse box. So instead of going south to north on the surface, you're going south. You're going south. Instead of going north to south on the surface, you're going south to north on the surface. And aloft, you can box back from the north. But with time, that north should go away. So we'll call that 2,000 to 2,500 foot layer a bonus layer. For the early pilots that get up, they will have the bonus. For the later pilots, don't plan on it. Above that, you can see that westerly wind prevails. And basically, with time, we're expecting that westerly wind to build down toward the surface to about 2,000 feet or so. The near surface layer should start to increase after 10 o'clock this morning and become gusty after noon. So that's the expectations. In terms of the TAFs, let's see here. Albuquerque Sunport is 160 at 6 knots. Visibility of greater than 6 miles, broken 20,000 feet. And that carries till 1 o'clock this afternoon. And then at Double Eagle, they're calling for a wind out of the north, 360. 6 miles visibility, broken to 2,000 feet, and that carries through noon. I don't think you'll see a northwest wind through noon, but I do think as long as it stays cool there, you'll probably have a north wind. But then as we start to warm up, say 10 degrees, so that would probably happen in the 8-9 o'clock time frame, you'll probably start to develop that southerly flow there as well. Okay, so with that, Robert did run a pie ball, and I'll give you some heights on that as well, so you can just verify that with the profiler. But like I said, it's really light and variable in the near surface layer. So use the profiler data and you're going to be able to steer, especially early, pretty much anywhere you want to go. So let's start. 100 feet was 260 at 2 knots. 100 feet is 260 at 2 knots. 500 feet is 150 at 5 knots, 150 at 5. 900 feet is 150 at 6 knots, 150 at 6. 1300 is 45 degrees at a half a knot, 45 degrees at a half a knot. 1,500 feet is 326 at 5 knots, 326 at 5. 1,900 feet is 324 at 7 knots, sorry, 324 at 7 knots. Let's see here, 2,100 feet is 205 at 6 knots, 205 degrees at 6 knots. 2,500 feet is 305 at 7 knots, 305 at 7. 3,000 feet is 260 at 4 knots, 260 at 4. 3,500 feet is 240 at 11 knots, 240 at 11. And 4,000 feet is 250 at 12 knots. So I think the most consistent winds in the near surface layer are going to be the winds out of the south going to the north, but you're going to have some variations in that, especially above in that 5 to 1,500 foot layer. There's going to be a lot of different steerability there. Above it, you're going to have that westerly wind building down from aloft, and that's going to get more and more consistent with time. Okay, for my weather helper this morning, I have Brooke Nutting, and she is in the back of the podium here. Do I have any launch directors in the area to give Brooke permission to launch? Great job. All right.
So we heard the weather.
Yeah, which direction do you want to go?
Wow. 45, a bunch of 300s, a bunch of 200s,
bunch of 150s.
And those are compass directions, and
Right.
that's the direction the wind will be coming from.
Yes, so the wind will be going, if the wind is coming from 150, you add 180 to that, so you would be going 330, if my math is correct.
Which is kind of to the northwest.
Kind of to the northwest.
The 45 means you're going to be going 270, which means you'll be going to the west.
Yep.
What we didn't hear a whole lot of was kind of the really high 330s and the low numbers.
Right.
So there's not a lot of north coming back that we heard in those layers.
Well, in his very opening remarks, Brad, thank you. Jeez, it's been a long week. Brad did comment that the north drainage winds that are usually so prevalent here were not nearly so strong this morning. And that's why we have really a surface flow that is southerly from the south as opposed to what we normally have from the north.
Well, we've watched the Dawn Patrol flight here about 10 or 15 feet off the ground. They were drifting a little bit to the east. Then they got up about 50 feet, maybe 100 feet, and they started drifting to the west. Now that they're up a few hundred feet, they're not going anywhere.
Well, yeah, but
maybe
they have
northwest.
pushed a little to the northwest, yeah. But, so it's going to make for an interesting morning.
I think we'll see competitors. If this holds throughout the competitive window, I think we're going to see them coming in from every direction.
Possibly, but, Brad was saying that a lot of these directions were going to dissipate later into the morning, that there was some steerable direction that would be available to the early balloons launching, but the later balloons would not. He also mentioned there's a westerly component that's going to get stronger through the morning, west northwesterly. So we may see a number of the competitors coming in from the east again, from over in the foothills.
Could be
to the east. Well,
and then when they get down on the field, it sounded like that light variable stuff was going to hang around,
which then will make scoring really a lot of fun because the balloons will just drop into the field and kind of hang around.
Yeah.
So that could be fun.
And depending on the time you drop in, there might be a little drift this way or a little drift that way, and a whole lot of maneuvering. And let me go up 10 feet. Let me drop 10 feet to see if I can make that change. So it's going to be an interesting, challenging, and exciting morning for competition here at the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. And you will see it all live right here on Balloon Fiesta Live, powered by Exxon.
Barbara Burrows has just checked in, says hello from Hazel Green, Wisconsin. She works for Lindstrand Balloons at their factory in Galena, and says she'll be here next year for the 50th anniversary. So
she was online yesterday, Asar. You bet.
Look forward to having you join us. Good morning from Phoenix, Arizona.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Cindy Krieger says, love Dawn Patrol. Isn't it something spectacular? Those guys do a great job. Guys and men and women do a great job with Dawn Patrol. I've only flown Dawn Patrol once. Years ago, there was an event up in Danville, Illinois. The great, I forget the official name of the event. Someone will remind me of it. But they actually ran a Dawn Patrol competition for a couple of years where the balloons launched as a Dawn Patrol and then flew to a target. And one of those years, I was lucky enough to fly with one of the other pilots in the event. And that was really kind of amazing to launch in the darkness and fly through the sunrise and then come upon a target and drop a marker.
That would be cool.
That was a lot of fun, yeah.
I actually got to fly in a balloon during Dawn Patrol. I wasn't actually the pilot, but
I wasn't either.
It's really incredible to be up there and see it's dark. You see all the lights of the city, and then as the sun comes up.
Yes. Yeah, that event in Danville was really quite innovative. The other thing they did that was really spectacular is for a few years we had an event called Night Riders. And the event took place at the big regional airport there, so wide open space. And so we would send a select group of balloons out a mile and a half away, and they would inflate and fly in, just as our competitors will do later this morning.
Sure.
But it was all done at night, after dark. And it was just the most amazing thing to see. I've still got a couple of those pins. The event was called the Night Riders.
That would be neat.
We did a lot of innovative things, or innovative, as they would say overseas. At the it was the Oldsmobile Balloon Classic was the name of the event, and another one of the great balloon events that is now part of our history. But always did some fun things up there. Good times there.
One of our local radio stations has their morning team out here this morning, and they're checking in and watching us on Facebook as well. Good morning, Carlos and Kiki. Glad to have you along. And then Joshua says he's come up with a new name for Albuquerque.
Yeah?
Yeah, he wants to call it, let me find exactly how he put it here, Hot Air Balloon City.
Okay.
Okay. Joshua, thanks for that. We're already the hot air balloon capital of the world.
Yeah, and isn't the city sometimes referred to as the Duke City?
Duke City. Albuquerque was named for the Duke of Albuquerque from Spain.
Okay.
The Duke of Albuquerque. In fact, it was more like Albuquerque because there was an extra R in the Duke's name, and somewhere along the line,
Albuquerque.
Somewhere along the line, that extra R got dropped. There's a story behind that. I just don't remember it.
Well, the spelling is already crazy enough, so who needs an extra R?
You'd be surprised how many people put that in there. But yes,
really?
The spellings of the spellings of Albuquerque are always interesting to watch and to see.
A lot of Florida folks checking in today. Ocala, Florida, and another from Honeybrook, Pennsylvania. Lots of places I've never heard of. Get a good geography lesson watching Balloon Fiesta Live.
That's right.
Cedarburg, Wisconsin, Rochester, Minnesota, Omaha, Nebraska, made famous, of course, by Peyton Manning and his audibles. Omaha. So
Brittany's asking if we got a chance to say hello to Greg and the Monty crew. We saw him last night at our Glodio, and all of a sudden he popped up on our feed.
Yeah,
so
we
we
were
just
wondering
kind of
if
went
they were even
crazy
here yet, and all of a sudden he popped up. So hoping to see them again this morning. Been talking with them for several days leading up to Balloon Fiesta, messaging back and forth.
Walla Walla, Washington's in the house.
Palm Harbor, Florida.
Northville, Michigan. Other folks checking in with the Monty, the Black.
Yeah.
So one of our Dawn Patrol balloons has come back over the field.
Oh, Doris. Checked in from Carrollton, Texas. I used to live in Carrollton, Texas. Great little city in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Moved there in 1981 and moved out from there to Plano, and then from Plano out to Roseville, California for the 5 years that I was editor at Balloon Life magazine out in the Sacramento, Northern California area. Hello from Australia. Hello, James. Good morning, good afternoon, good day, I guess would be the thing to say.
Pueblo, Colorado checking in this morning.
North Augusta, South Carolina. Stephanie Spiker checking in from Longview, Texas. Good morning.
New Zealand says it's now 1:30 in the morning where they are. Time for bed.
Oh, I guess.
And Florida is checking in as well.
Neil Santa Cruz watching from work south of Alameda. Okay. Well, nothing wrong with that. If you can't be at the field, might as well
just
watch
behind the banner here.
Yeah, just behind the banner. He's backstage almost.
Almost.
Yeah. Amarillo, Texas.
Check his pass.
I'll be passing through Amarillo on Monday morning on my way back home. Minneapolis.
Amarillo by morning.
That's right. Wheeler, Texas.
So
Mark
after
Passan,
doing-
good afternoon. Glenn and Art, good afternoon. Mark, to you over in the UK. Hope we see you here next year for our 50th.
So after getting up at dark 30
Yes.
for 9 days,
Yes.
what happens on Monday? Do you sleep in or do you still wake up out of habit?
Yeah. I try to sleep in if I can, but typically I'll wake up early. Maybe not at 03:30,
right,
like I did this morning. But in fact, I was thinking about that driving in this morning because I was checking my pet monitor and my cats are up and active. And normally at home, I tend to sleep in. I work late at night, usually at home, and then tend to sleep late in the morning, as all of my local balloon friends will tell you. And but Bonnie and Ranger, the cats, bingo, love to try to wake me up about 6 a.m. They're ready for treats.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking the next week or so, they're probably going to be really proud of me because I probably will be.
You'll be up and on time.
Up and on time as far as they're concerned. I'll be on cat time for the next week or two. But no, I've got a long drive home, and so I do try to get up and get a fairly early start Monday morning. But if I leave the hotel between 8 and 9, that's early.
You'll still make Amarillo by morning.
I will make Amarillo by morning, and I won't be, but I won't be getting up at dark 30. I hope.
We've been waking up before the alarm every day this last couple of days.
I think only once this week have I actually slept right up to the alarm.
Yep.
Every other time. Now, sometimes in the afternoon, between these morning sessions and the evening sessions, I'll go back and try to grab a nap, and sometimes then I'll sleep, up to the alarm.
That alarm, yeah.
But yeah, the early morning alarm only once this week has it awakened me. The other times I've been awake before then, which is always kind of oh man, are you kidding me? I'm up 30 minutes early. What's going on here? But yeah, you stay on which is actually good because 2 weekends after this event, I've got another event to do in just outside of San Antonio in a little town called Schertz, Texas. And so I'll need to be on balloon time, obviously, for that event.
For a little bit as well, yep.
Yeah, so it's a good thing that kind of, getting up at dark 30 out here kind of carries over for a couple of weeks. And then I generally get back to my routine of sleeping in and watching the sunsets instead of the sunrises.
So we do have a balloon standing up on the field with the Albertsons banner. I believe that's Fred Dinkler in his balloon carried away. That
hi,
would be
Fred.
that would be the balloon of the day, the one
excellent.
who carries the flag out. There he is lighting up for us.
Fred is the IT person for the Balloon Federation of America. He and Dean Carlton keep our website running and our BFA.net webmail system operational. So a great volunteer for the Balloon Federation is Mr. Dinkler.
And something we haven't talked about this week, and that is that the Balloon Fiesta holds a photo contest every year with some nice prizes as well. Our photo contest sponsored by Acima this year. Glad to have them on board as a sponsor. And the photo contest is officially open and underway. All you have to do to submit your photos to the photo contest, head over to our website, balloonfiesta.com. Go down under this year's events and look for photos in the photo contest. All the rules, regulations, prizes, and entry forms are right there. It is online entry, so you're going to want to go check all that out. Again, the photo contest underway. You could win some great prizes from Balloon Fiesta and our photo contest sponsor, Acima. I'm seeing the chase crew truck red lights heading out the north end of the field here. So pilot's briefing must be over, and now it's time for those guys to go say, where do I take off to get back to the field?
That will be the competitor balloons that today have to go out, find a launch site, and then later this morning they will fly in. And that will come after we have our Shapes launch, our Shapes rodeo, and all of our non-competitive or Fiesta flyers, as we like to refer to them. They will launch off the field. And so once all of that has taken place, this is another of those days where we kind of call it a double launch or a double flight day, because we have a huge number of balloons that will launch here, or inflate here, launch and fly away. And then once that's done, the focus will shift to our competitive pilots who are outside of Balloon Fiesta Park. And
Have to be a mile away when they
at least
launch.
a mile away, and inflate and fly in. I almost said out with, which is a word that you hear over in the UK a lot, but you don't.
As opposed to out back?
Well,
which you'd hear down under?
Out back is down under, but out with is the same as we would say, it's outside of, or if you would say, someone would say, where are you? Well, I'm just outside the gate here at Fiesta Park. And someone from the UK might say, out with, or they'll refer to a place and saying, well, it's out with of England, or it's out with of Ireland or Scotland or wherever, any of the UK countries. A term I never heard until I started visiting over there.
Sure.
But it's a very common word over there.